Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening, SHH. His mother crouched down and clapped a hand over his mouth, glaring at him. Don't say that out loud. He's a ninja. She hissed into his ear. His men said we have to stay until it's over to get paid. Okay, Mom. The boy mumbled from behind her hand. Good boy. She ruffled his hair. Once we get the money, I'll buy you a treat. Thanks, Mom. The boy beamed, resolving to endure the bizarre performance for the promise of something delicious. On stage, Killer Bee suddenly paused mid-rap, pulling out a small notebook. What's he doing now? Is it over? Finally. The audience whispered among themselves. Oblivious, Killer Bee scribbled furiously in his notebook before snapping it shut. Yo, just got a new idea, had to jot it down, now back to my flow. Thanks for listening, ya fool, ya fool. The crowd's expressions instantly returned to their previous deadpan stares. Emerging from Obito's space-time vortex, Kisame found himself greeted by this surreal sight. Hey. He glanced between Killer Bee on stage and the apathetic audience, his face a mix of confusion and disbelief. Before today, I thought nothing could surprise me anymore. Chapter 239, Yo. On stage, Killer Bee also noticed Kisame's sudden appearance. Yo. Gesturing dramatically, Bee strolled to the side of the stage, his rap continuing, Yo. The freak from Akatsuki is here, trying to bring some fear. But Killer Bee ain't got time to shed a tear. Yo, fools and idiots, you all better flee, before this big bad fish man comes after me. Kisame, usually composed and confident, found himself momentarily stunned by the absurd scene. His mouth twitched, releasing a strange laugh that he couldn't suppress. Fish demon. The audience, finally noticing Kisame, erupted in panic. Mama. A young boy screamed, bursting into tears. There's a fish demon. Yo. Fish demon, why are you here? Bee's rap continued unabated. Fools and idiots, don't despair. Killer Bee is on the scene, fish demon, you're trapped. I'm so keen. The crowd of spectators panicked and scattered. Parents dragged children by the hand, people scrambled in all directions. Run. Hurry. Get out of here. Meanwhile, Kisame paid no mind to the fleeing civilians. Calmly, he reached for the massive sword strapped to his back, Seimada, and fixed a bloodthirsty glare on the still-dancing Killer Bee. You. Kisame's grin stretched wide, revealing his shark-like teeth. You really don't know when to quit, do you? With a vicious laugh, he leapt into the air, swinging Seimada down in a crushing blow. The bandages unraveled from the sword, revealing its jagged, shark-like scales as it let out a high-pitched screech. Killer Bee responded with remarkable agility, flipping backward in a series of fluid somersaults. Kisame's attack smashed the simple wooden stage to pieces, sending splinters flying in all directions. The music cut off abruptly as the speakers toppled to the ground. Yo. The fish demon struck, Killer Bee dodged with skill and luck. You may smash my stage, but you can't quench my lyrical rage. I'm the rap king, and I'll make that clear. Kisame stood amid the ruins of the stage, watching the bizarre display. Enough. Kisame growled, gripping Seimada. A fool like you isn't worth my time. With a shake of his head, he looked up at the sky. Obito, I want to go home. Don't joke around. A spiraling vortex of space opened, and Obito, disguised as Madara, appeared, landing nearby. You're Kisame. Get serious. Yo. Fish demon, and his buddy, mask-wearing man, making Killer Bee jumpy. Killer Bee's exaggerated gestures intensified, his words more nonsensical than ever. Kisame glanced at Obito's masked face and sighed heavily. You hear that? Kisame asked. Ignore him. Obito muttered, voice low and cold. Kisame groaned, gripping Seimada tighter. This might be the biggest challenge of my career as a ninja. Kisame charged again, Saimata raised high. Killer Bee let out an excited cry, tossing the seven-sword strap to his back into the air. Spinning on one foot, he caught the blades with various parts of his body. Hands, elbows, knees, and even his mouth. He transformed into a human porcupine of steel, spinning rapidly and clashing with Kisame. Kisame laughed darkly as he parried each strike, blocking the onslaught of blades with Saimata's unrelenting defense. Seven-sword style, huh? You're just as flashy as ever. Kisame taunted, his grin growing sharper. Killer Bee, undeterred, lunged again, his spinning form producing a cacophony of metallic clanging as blades collided with Saimata. When neither could gain the upper hand, Killer Bee leapt back, his body suddenly shrouded in a crimson-tailed beast cloak. Translucent tentacles resembling octopus arms sprouted from his back, writhing and pulsating with power. So, you're finally getting serious. Kisame said, his expression turning predatory. Planting Saimata into the ground, Kisame pressed his palms together. Water style, great exploding water colliding wave. He exhaled a torrent of water from his mouth, quickly transforming the surrounding area into an expansive ocean. Killer Bee retaliated by throwing his swords into the air once again. The tentacles of his tailed beast cloak expanded and solidified, catching the blades midair. As the tentacles grew, they transformed into massive limbs, anchoring Bee's form as he withstood the waves. The ocean stretched endlessly, connecting with distant seas. Yo. Fool, ya fool, think I'm scared of water? Killer Bee don't care, I'm the slaughter starter. Killer Bee, his lower half now fully transformed into the massive eight tails, launched himself through the water, his monstrous form dwarfing the battlefield. Escalating chaos. Kisame responded with a chilling calm, pulling Saimata from the ground. Never seen an octopus afraid of water, he remarked dryly. Suddenly, Bee's massive tentacles whipped forward, each wrapped around a blade, attacking from every direction. Kisame's body dissolved into water, dodging the strike. Water clone? The eight tails muttered. From afar, Kisame reappeared, his hands forming seals. Water style, 1,000-feeding sharks. A tidal wave surged forward, filled with countless sharks made of water. They swarmed toward the eight tails, jaws snapping ferociously. Reacting quickly, Bee submerged his tentacles, releasing a cloud of black ink that darkened the water. The sharks, blinded, collided with each other, dissipating into white mist. Emerging from the darkened waters, the eight tails began to charge a tail beast bomb. A dense orb of chakra formed in its mouth before firing with a deafening roar. The explosion tore through the ocean, blindingly bright. As the waters raged and the battlefield churned, Bee's voice rang out once more, Yo. I'm Killer Bee, where's the fish guy now? My buddy Juki, will blow you away, pow pow. The eight tails turned its focus to Obito, leaping toward the masked figure standing motionlessly on a distant rock. Its massive body passed through him without resistance. Huh? Bee exclaimed in surprise. No impact? Careful, Bee. The eight tails warned in his mind. That man's eye. It's dangerous. Bee's vision darkened as a massive scarlet eye with black tomoe filled his field of view. That's the Mangekyo Sharingan. Juki cried out in alarm. Chapter 240, Sharingan? Killer Bee didn't grasp Juki's urgency. Illusions don't work on me. Break it for me, Juki. Don't be careless. Juki's deep voice was grave. This isn't an ordinary Sharingan. Bee, seize your chance. The massive, crimson eye cracked before Bee, and he quickly channeled his chakra, colliding it against Juki's raging energy. The force shattered the illusion, setting him free. Pa. The colossal ox head panted heavily, no longer daring to meet Obito's gaze directly. Be careful from now on, Bee. Juki warned. We'll only get this one chance. Got it. Killer Bee replied, unusually serious. A mocking voice echoed from behind Bee. Hey, I didn't expect you to break free from his Ganjutsu. What? The fishman isn't dead? Bee's tentacle-like tails lashed wildly, trying to locate Kisame, but the shark man was already airborne, his massive Saimata sword slashing down. Two of Bee's tails were severed in an instant before Saimata struck the ox head squarely, paralyzing the eight tails' movements. For a fleeting moment, Bee's mind went blank. Boom. The massive, scarlet eye appeared again, swallowing Bee and Juki in a sea of darkness. Did we get him? Kisame observed the now frozen eight tails beneath him and attempted to lift Saimata. However, no matter how hard he pulled, Saimata refused to budge. What's going on? Looking down, Kisame saw that Saimata had latched onto the eight tails, greedily sucking its chakra. Its sharp scales pierced deep into the beast, swelling as it consumed energy. This glutton. Kisame sighed and let go. Fine, eat your fill. Obito approached, standing before the eight tails. First, he sealed the two severed tentacles into a scroll. Then, forming hand signs, his Sharingan gleamed ominously. The eight tails' massive body began to shrink, collapsing in on itself as it was drawn back into B. Soon, Killer B lay unconscious, floating atop the water's surface. Saimata, now bloated with chakra, detached from the eight tails and splashed into the water, circling B like a loyal dog. "You!" Kisame growled, seeing Saimata's behavior. "Traitorous sword." Saimata let out sharp, impatient screeches, rubbing against B's body as if reluctant to part with him. "Madara!" Kisame called out, irritated. "Let's leave. I've had enough of this glutton's antics." Obito nodded. "It's just drawn to the eight tails chakra. Pay it no mind." Kisame glowered but grabbed Saimata's hilt, hauling it away. Obito activated his Mengekyo Sharingan, summoning a swirling vortex of space around B's unconscious body. As P began to vanish, Saimata quieted, reluctantly allowing Kisame to lift it. As Kisame and B faded into the vortex, Obito's ears twitched. "Lariat!" A voice roared above. Obito raised his head just in time to see a figure cloaked in crackling lightning descending at blinding speed. The fourth Raikage, A, struck with a devastating hand chop aimed at Obito's neck. Slash! The attack passed through Obito's intangible form, leaving him unharmed. A landed heavily and spun around, his sharp gaze locking on to Obito. "Space-time ninjutsu?" A muttered, his tone serious. Obito calmly faced him. The fourth Raikage. "You're from Akatsuki." A growled, fury blazing in his eyes. "Hand over B." Swish. 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 The sound of rushing air accompanied the arrival of a squad of Hidden Cloud's village ninja, each wielding weapons and surrounding Obito in a tight formation. "Raikage-sama," said Darui, stepping forward with a large sword in hand. "The escort team is in position, and the Anbu are mobilizing." "Good." A replied, never taking his eyes off Obito. "But don't interfere yet." "Understood." Electric arcs surged around Ai's body, intensifying as his hair stood on end. His voice boomed like thunder. "Where is B, my brother?" "Who knows?" Obito replied with a dismissive shrug. "If you won't talk, you'll die here." Ai's lightning-infused aura crackled menacingly. "I'll tear the truth out of your corpse." Boom. In a flash, A appeared behind Obito, his movements nearly invisible. Obito turned nonchalantly. "Impressive speed. I can fight like this all day." A growled. "But I doubt you can maintain that intangible state forever." Ai's attacks came relentlessly. Lightning-enhanced blows struck from every angle, passing harmlessly through Obito's body. Obito's lone Sharingan spun continuously, calculating each move, but he showed no signs of slowing down. This guy's persistence is troublesome, Obito thought. In order to counterattack or retreat to the Kamyu dimension, Obito would need to become tangible momentarily. An action Ai's speed would surely exploit. Time ticked away. Ai's hand flashed again, this time aiming for Obito's throat. Obito sidestepped, but A was already twisting midair, bringing down a thunderous kick. Lightning exploded on impact, missing Obito by a hair as the Raikage's elbow pierced through his intangible chest. Obito's eye darted, searching for an opening. There it is. A leaped skyward for another strike, creating the moment Obito needed. The masked man's body shifted, briefly becoming tangible as he sank into the ground, evading further attacks. A landed heavily, his electrified fists clenched, scanning the area. Did he escape? He muttered, his voice echoing over the rippling water. Chapter 241, B. The fourth Raikage, A, roared furiously, lightning flaring around his entire body and evaporating part of the seawater enveloping him. "Damn it!" he bellowed angrily, his voice resounding across the sea. Further away, the seawater rushed back to fill the void left behind. "Raikage-sama." Darui swam over with a concerned expression but got straight to the point. Neither those two enemies nor Lord Killer B have left any traces. They must have been teleported away using space-time ninjutsu. The lightning around A's body gradually dimmed. He gestured silently and swam toward the surface. Darui waved at the others in the distance before following behind A. Splash! A broke through the water's surface and quickly made his way to the shore. In the depths of Thundercloud Canyon, the figures of Hidden Cloud's villages Anbu flitted about hurriedly. Mobui, the Raikage's secretary, approached with three disheartened figures trailing behind her. "Raikage-sama." Mobui bowed slightly. "Our deepest apologies for arriving late." A's gaze skipped past her and fixed on the three figures behind her. "Samui, Amoy, Karui." His voice carried heavy discontent. "As B's disciples, why weren't you three by his side?" "Our deepest apologies." The three knelt on one knee immediately, heads lowered, not daring to look up. Raikage-sama. Samui spoke calmly. Please allow us to expand the search area. Based on Lord B's personality, there's a high chance he might have severed his tail to escape and wandered off to play somewhere. That guy. Clenched his fists, acknowledging the possibility but still unable to rest easy. You three handle it. He waved dismissively. No one else can be spared to search for B's whereabouts. This task is yours alone. Yes. The three stood and departed swiftly. Mabui. Turned his head. I'm heading back to the village. Have everyone else withdraw afterward. Yes, Raikage-sama. Mabui bowed deeply and watched Tei's retreating figure disappear into the distance. Raikage-sama carries the weight of all Hidden Cloud's village on his shoulders. Not being able to fully focus on saving Lord B must be the most painful thing for him. Mabui murmured. Darui stood beside her. Let's just hope Lord B is safe. Mabui sighed, then composed herself and said firmly. That man is the Raikage of Hidden Cloud's village. No matter what happens, nothing can truly defeat him. Yeah. Darui turned around. The Akatsuki's actions are becoming increasingly blatant. The shinobi world might be heading for a major upheaval. Raikage-sama won't let this slide. Mabui stated with certainty. Maybe we've been too lenient with them. The incident with Yujiro. Darui trailed off, regret in his voice. Perhaps everyone thought the same way. Mabui shook her head. Every village shared similar sentiments, which allowed the Akatsuki to remain active for so long. Now, every village is tasting the consequences. Hidden Leaf Village's main gate. Jiraiya, weathered and carrying a massive scroll on his back, swaggered up from a distance. Yo. As he approached the gate, he casually raised his hand in greeting. Kotetsu Hagane and Izumo Kamizuki, sitting idly by the gate, immediately stood to attention. Jiraiya-sama, welcome back. Ha ha ha. Jiraiya laughed heartily. Thanks. Why are you two still stuck on gate duty? Well. Izumo scratched the back of his head sheepishly. Jiraiya-sama, being a gatekeeper is an important job too, you know. Good attitude. Jiraiya patted Izumo on the shoulder as he passed. Keep it up. Yes, I'll do my best. Izumo responded enthusiastically, puffing out his chest. Jiraiya waved nonchalantly and strode into the village. Did you hear that? Jiraiya-sama just encouraged me. Izumo grinned at Kotetsu triumphantly. Oh, please. Kotetsu rolled his eyes. He was just being polite. Even if he wasn't, it was meant for both of us. Yeah, right. He clearly meant me. Izumo smugly leaned back in his seat. Are you saying you want to work solo or find a new partner? Kotetsu shot back, annoyed. Of course not, Kotetsu. You're the only one for me. Ugh. Get lost. Jiraiya strolled leisurely through the streets of Hidden Leaf Village. Winter really is a lonely season. His eyes darted about as he muttered this soulful lament. Without any scantily clad beauties, Hidden Leaf Village's scenery loses its charm. A cold breeze blew, and he involuntarily shrank his neck. Ah, well. I'll go check on Tsunade first. Swoosh. His figure vanished abruptly. Hokage's office. Tsunade was busy working at her desk when she heard a knock. She turned around. Yo. Through the glass of the window, Jiraiya enthusiastically waved at her. You idiot. Tsunade stood up, glaring at him angrily. Knock knock. Jiraiya chuckled awkwardly and tapped the glass. Rolling her eyes, Tsunade opened the window. Ah, it's freezing. Jiraiya climbed into the office, shut the window, and began rubbing his hands together for warmth. Jiraiya-sama. Shizune greeted with a small bow. Shizune. Jiraiya plopped onto a nearby couch and waved. Could you pour me some tea? Of course. Please wait a moment. Shizune quickly returned with a steaming cup of tea. Jiraiya cradled the cup in his hands, took a sip, and exaggeratedly sighed. Ah, I'm alive again. Thanks, Shizune. You're welcome, Jiraiya-sama. Shizune replied politely before returning to Tsunade's side. You. Tsunade sat down across from Jiraiya, her irritation evident. If you're feeling alive again, then hurry up and talk business. Jiraiya put down the teacup and struck a dramatic pose, shaking his head. You haven't changed a bit, Tsunade. Still lacking a sense of fun. Shut up. Tsunade's fist hovered threateningly in front of his face. Alright. Jiraiya straightened up, dropping the act. You already know why I called you back. Tsunade began, her tone serious. I'm entrusting Naruto to you. Don't worry. Jiraiya examined Tsunade closely. I came as soon as I got your message. Looks like a lot has happened in the village. It's not all bad. Tsunade said, referring to the Hyuga incident. That was always a hidden issue. Better that it's resolved now. The caged bird seal, huh? Jiraiya mused, though he didn't delve deeper. You don't need to concern yourself with those matters. Tsunoda said, rising and returning to her desk. I'm swamped here. Go check on Minato and Naruto. They're training in the woods east of the village. Cold as ever, huh? Jiraiya muttered as he stood and headed out, grumbling to himself. Chapter 242, in a clearing surrounded by trees, Naruto's shadow clones were working in pairs. One clone maintained the Rasengan, while the other added wind chakra nature transformation to it. Meanwhile, the real Naruto stood idly by Minato's side, doing nothing. Why am I the only one with nothing to do? Naruto complained. Naruto, I've told you before, this experiment is extremely dangerous. Don't try it yourself yet. Minato said, shaking his head. Humphrey. This is nothing for me. Naruto stood with his hands on his hips. Watch, Dad. Even my shadow clones will succeed soon enough. If I recall, you've failed countless times already. Minato remarked, tapping Naruto on the forehead. This time, I'll definitely succeed. Naruto declared confidently. But just as he said this, the Rasengans in his shadow clone's hand suddenly exploded. Boom. 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 A series of violent gusts erupted. All of the clones disappeared instantly, leaving craters scattered across the ground. Why does this keep happening? As the experience of countless shadow clones returned to him, Naruto wobbled, dizzy, and collapsed to the ground. See, I told you. Minato sighed, reaching out to catch him. Take a break for now. Damn it. Naruto muttered, frustrated. I was so close to succeeding. If this keeps up, Sasuke will leave me in the dust again. He shook his head and forced himself to stand back up. No. I can't give up yet. I can still keep going. His trembling hands formed seals. Shadow clone jutsu. Poof. White smoke cleared, revealing two limp shadow clones collapsing onto the ground in front of him. What the? No way. One more time. Naruto raised his hands again. That's enough. Minato firmly grabbed Naruto's wrists. You need to rest before continuing, Naruto. Yo. A voice suddenly called out, and Jiraiya appeared. Pervy Sage? Naruto exclaimed, turning his head in surprise. Jiraiya-sensei. Minato smiled warmly, turning to face him. You're back. What's this? Jiraiya appeared in front of them in a flash, crouching down and poking at the two limp shadow clones on the ground with his finger. Naruto. Jiraiya looked up, smirking. Is this your new jutsu? Damn it. Naruto scrambled to his feet, his face flushed as he protested. This is just a little mishap. I'll master an amazing jutsu in no time. Is that so? Jiraiya gave him a skeptical look, then poked at the shadow clones again. Poof. Poof. Yikes. Jiraiya clicked his tongue. Didn't think I'd live to see such weak shadow clones. You stupid pervy sage. How dare you look down on me? Naruto's anger flared. I'll show you what I can do. Red chakra flared around him, and Naruto raised his hands once more. Hey. Jiraiya's eyes widened. Isn't this overkill? Ha. Naruto shouted, quickly forming hand seals twice. Shadow clone jutsu. Harem jutsu. Jiraiya-sama. Muah. Countless blonde-haired, blue-eyed beauties with twin tails and no clothing appeared out of nowhere, surrounding Jiraiya. They batted their eyelashes, blew kisses, and posed seductively. This. This. Jiraiya's eyes bulged, his nostrils flared, and twin streams of blood gushed out as he fell flat on his back. Even as he lay on the ground, he weakly raised his thumb in approval. Well done. Poof. 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 As the white smoke dissipated, Naruto reappeared. Ha ha ha. Naruto stood triumphantly with his hands on his hips, laughing. How's that? A mere pervy sage has no choice but to admit defeat before me, Naruto the Great. Ha ha ha. Naruto. Suddenly, a voice from behind sent chills down his spine. His laughter stopped abruptly, and his body stiffened. Oh no. I forgot Dad was still here. Creak. Creak. Naruto's neck made a mechanical sound as he slowly turned his head. Naruto. Minato still wore his usual gentle smile, but black energy swirled ominously around him. What exactly were you doing just now? Minato placed a hand on Naruto's head and asked in a soft tone. Tell me, Naruto. Dad. Naruto stammered, his body trembling and his teeth chattering. I. Tell me. Minato tightened his grip. Ow, 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 ow. Naruto desperately tried to pull his head free from Minato's grasp. Naruto, who taught you that jutsu? Minato asked, his tone calm but unyielding. His sharp eyes locked onto Jiraiya, who was lying on the ground. Was it you, Jiraiya-sensei? It wasn't me. I swear. Don't accuse me. Jiraiya suddenly bolted upright, frantically scooting backward. What do you say, Naruto? Minato continued to smile as he shook Naruto's head slightly. It was self-taught. Naruto wailed tearfully, blurting out. I practiced it myself with magazines. And why didn't I know you had this jutsu? Minato shook his head again. Because it's my secret weapon against perverts. Naruto blurted out with a sheepish grin. Like the pervy sage, the third Hokage, Iruka-sensei, and Kakashi-sensei. Minato tightened his grip. Oh, I see. So you've performed this jutsu in front of so many people. Naruto panicked and quickly added. Oh, of course, Dad, you're completely different from them. For someone as handsome and invincible as you, this jutsu wouldn't work at all. Is that so? Minato's grip loosened slightly. Absolutely. Naruto immediately saw a way out and doubled down on the flattery. Dad, you're the best, the most handsome, the strongest man I've ever seen. Even though your teacher is that pervy sage, you're nothing like him. No wonder Mom fell for you. She had amazing taste. It's not as great as you're saying. Minato said modestly, finally letting go and gently ruffling Naruto's messy hair. I just fell for your mom the moment I saw her. Dad, you're being too modest. Naruto sighed in relief and nodded furiously. I totally trust Mom's taste. If you weren't so amazing, why would Mom marry you? He naturally turned to glare at Jiraiya disdainfully. Especially considering your teacher was the pervy sage. PFFT. Jiraiya spat out a mouthful of blood and silently turned away. Don't talk like that. Jiraiya-sensei is a great teacher. Minato chided gently, patting Naruto's head. And remember, humility is important. Don't praise me just because I'm your father. Yes, yes, yes. Naruto nodded like an obedient child. I understand, Dad. But you're secretly so happy, aren't you? TCH. Jiraiya-sensei. Minato looked at Jiraiya, who was sitting on the ground, hugging his knees. Sorry, I misunderstood you earlier. Ha ha ha. Jiraiya laughed awkwardly, standing up and brushing himself off. It's fine. I don't mind at all. Damn it. Jiraiya turned his back to the father and son, clutching his chest dramatically. Falling leaves drifted, sprinkling across my face. My rebellious disciple broke my heart. Chapter 243, Welcome. Standing in a dimly lit passageway, Orochimaru smiled as he greeted Sasuke and Neji. Sasuke-kun, Neji-kun, welcome to my base. Orochimaru. Sasuke said directly. Is there something here you need us to do? Hee. Orochimaru chuckled in amusement. No need to rush, Sasuke-kun. He said, licking his lips with his tongue. Since you're already here, let me show you around and help you get familiar with the place first. Fine. Sasuke nodded. Thank you, Orochimaru-sama. Neji replied, showing far more courtesy than Sasuke. Well then. Orochimaru turned and began walking deeper into the base. Follow me. Kabuto. He said suddenly, turning back again. Prepare rooms for Sasuke-kun and Neji-kun. Understood, Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto replied with a smile. I'll take care of it. Sasuke-kun, Neji-kun, I'll see you later. Humphrey. Sasuke nodded indifferently. Later. Neji replied, maintaining his formal demeanor. Orochimaru's base was hidden underground, consisting primarily of a series of interconnected stone chambers. A labyrinth of complex corridors and passages linked the chambers, making it feel like a massive underground maze. Most of the rooms were vacant, with only a select few in use. These active chambers were either holding areas for experiment subjects or specialized labs, storage rooms for research materials, and archives for data. Sasuke and Neji followed Orochimaru, quickly touring the base. Both of them wore grim expressions as they moved. The modified, grotesque ninja experiments and the bizarre biological specimens Orochimaru had collected left the two young men feeling deeply unsettled. Hee. Orochimaru glanced back at them with a smirk. Sasuke-kun, Neji-kun, are you alright? It seems your tolerance is rather limited. Orochimaru. Sasuke glared at him unflinchingly. We're not like you. Humphrey, Sasuke-kun, you simply haven't came to appreciate the power of science. Orochimaru dismissed the remark casually and led them into a large, pristine laboratory. This lab was clean, brightly lit, and well organized, offering some relief to the uneasy duo. Sasuke-kun. Orochimaru said, turning to face him. From what I've heard, Kaido-sama often conducts experiments too. Are you really not used to it? My uncle does conduct experiments. Sasuke admitted, nodding. What? Neji was taken aback. Could that person really do something so cruel? However, Sasuke added. My uncle's experiments are nothing like this. He uses arrays and seals to verify his theories. There's no bloodshed involved. I see. Neji secretly breathed a sigh of relief. Is that so? Orochimaru said, his eyes gleaming with intrigue. Kaido-sama certainly has some fascinating abilities. I'm quite envious. Oh, right. Sasuke said, pulling out a scroll from his ninja pouch and handing it to Orochimaru. This is a gift from my uncle. He asked me to deliver it to you. Oh? Orochimaru's excitement was palpable as he accepted the scroll and eagerly unrolled it on the table. What's this? His eyes scanned the lines of text on the scroll's edge, and his excitement quickly reached a peak. Heh. Orochimaru's tongue flicked across his lips faster and faster. This is incredible. What an amazing gift. I'll have to thank Kaido-sama properly. Sasuke leaned in for a look. It's that guy's tissue samples? Orochimaru rolled the scroll back up, then tilted his head back and opened his mouth wide, swallowing the entire scroll in one gulp. Gulp. Sasuke and Neji couldn't help swallowing nervously themselves, their throats aching as if in sympathy. That guy? Orochimaru said casually, continuing the conversation as if nothing had happened. It seems Sasuke-kun is quite fortunate to have faced the Otsutsuki clan directly. Sasuke frowned. I was still too weak. I wasn't a match for him at all. Don't worry, you'll grow stronger. Orochimaru said in a tone that sounded almost encouraging. You're already far ahead of others your age. Why is he looking at me? Neji frowned, feeling slightly offended by the comparison. He resolved to ask Sasuke later about the things he didn't understand, particularly about the Otsutsuki. Aren't they supposed to be the final bosses? How has Sasuke already fought them? Sasuke, however, didn't seem to mind. Unlike before, he was no longer as desperate to pursue power at all costs. He explained further to Orochimaru. That guy's body and soul were separated and sealed by my uncle. These tissue samples were likely left behind on the battlefield. I see. Orochimaru said, clearly satisfied. This will be more than enough. By the way, my uncle did mention that Ishiki is different from Kaguya. Sasuke added. Oh? There might be some differences, but they shouldn't be too significant. Orochimaru said, his curiosity reignited. What else did Kaido-sama say? Sasuke thought for a moment. He said it might be due to the effects of the god tree's fruit. After absorbing the planet's energy, Kaguya was no longer a complete alien. I see. Orochimaru exclaimed, his understanding deepening as his excitement surged again. Kaido-sama is absolutely right. I can't wait any longer. Clearly impatient, Orochimaru tilted his head back and opened his mouth again, retrieving the now saliva-covered scroll. Ugh. Both Sasuke and Neji averted their eyes in discomfort. Orochimaru frowned. Where's Kabuto? Why isn't he here yet? Lord Orochimaru. Kabuto said, pushing the lab door open at that moment. You called? Kabuto. Perfect timing. I need to begin a new experiment immediately. Orochimaru said, his eagerness unmistakable. Assist me at once. Understood, Orochimaru-sama. Kabuto replied calmly, adjusting his glasses. However, I need to settle Sasuke-kun and Neji-kun in first. Fine. Orochimaru glanced at Sasuke and Neji, then impatiently waved a hand. Use a shadow clone to take care of them. I need you to assist me now. Yes, I understand. Kabuto complied without hesitation. Shadow clone jutsu. A clone appeared, while Kabuto's real body was dragged off by Orochimaru. Sasuke-kun, Neji-kun. The clone said with a friendly smile. Please follow me. As they left the lab, Sasuke glanced back to see Orochimaru and the real Kabuto already engrossed in their work. The lab door closed behind him, and Sasuke fell into step behind the clone. Is giving something like that to Orochimaru really okay? What was Uncle Kaido thinking? Sasuke recalled Kaido's expression at the time. I can't wait to see what happens. Kaido had said with a mischievous glint in his eyes. Orochimaru, the most unconventional ninja. What will he become in the end? I'm so curious, I'll be watching with great anticipation. Chapter 244, let's begin. In the darkness, the 9 eyes of the Jado statue slowly began to open halfway. Sealing technique, Phantom Dragon 9 consuming seals. With a loud shout from pain, 9 energy dragons shot out of the statue's gaping mouth, twisting and writhing as they descended, enveloping the unconscious Killer Bee lying on the ground. Killer Bee's body began to rise gradually, his mouth unconsciously opening. Hey, this guy's finally going to die. Kisame remarked with a hint of satisfaction. You've got a grudge against him? Deidara asked curiously. I know. Obito. Currently acting as Toby, responded in a playful tone. It's because his rapping is awful. That's your reason. He also gave Kisame-senpai a nickname. Fish demon. Ha 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 ha. Among the group, the 7 others aside from Obito couldn't help but laugh. Pain, Conan, Zetsu, Deidara, Sasori, Kisame, and Terai. Even Deidara, thanks to certain dealings, knew a bit about Obi's true identity. Suddenly, Obito realized something. He was working so hard to play the role of Tobi. Just for Sasori's benefit, boom. 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 The Rasengan exploded again, and countless of Naruto's shadow clones disappeared amidst clouds of smoke. Shadow clone jutsu. That's enough for now. Minato called out, stopping Naruto's movements. It's lunchtime. Oh, I'm starving. Naruto rubbed his stomach. Let's head home first. Minato placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder and waved to Jiraiya with his other hand. Jiraiya-sensei. What, are you inviting me to lunch? Jiraiya walked over. You know, I'm quite picky about my food. Understood, sensei. Minato touched Jiraiya lightly, and all 3 of them vanished from the spot. From a distance, Zetsu's head, covered in his signature Venus flytrap, rose from the earth and then sank back down again. At Minato and Naruto's home, the trio appeared in the living room. Take a seat, I'll prepare lunch. Minato said, heading toward the kitchen. Naruto, you're in charge of entertaining Jiraiya-sensei. Cooking yourself? TSK, Minato, you're such a good husband. Jiraiya said smugly. That's all thanks to my excellent teaching. TCH. Naruto shot him a look of disdain. What are you looking at, brat? Didn't your dad say to take good care of me? Now go make me some tea. Jiraiya plopped down onto the couch, already giving orders. Meanwhile, Akatsuki's 8-tail sealing operation continued. Pain, my main body has located the 9 tails. Zetsu's projection suddenly reported. Oh? Pain turned toward him. Just like the 8 tails, Hidden Leaf Village hasn't made any effort to hide him. Zetsu remarked teasingly. Such confidence from the great shinobi villages, huh? That makes it easier. Once the 8 tails is sealed, I'll personally head to Hidden Leaf Village to capture the 9 tails. Pain decided. Be careful. Zetsu added, revealing another piece of information. The 4th Hokage and Jiraiya are both protecting the 9 tails Jinchuriki. The 4th Hokage and Jiraiya, huh? Sasori spoke up for the first time. Both are formidable opponents. Shall I assist you, leader? Hidden Leaf Village, with its rich resources, is a treasure trove. Accompanying the leader there might yield numerous valuable materials for my collection. Sasori was already scheming. Sasori's right. We can assist the leader by handling Hidden Leaf Village's other forces. Deidara chimed in enthusiastically. If I can present my art in Hidden Leaf Village, everyone will have to acknowledge my brilliance. What should I use to blow up the Hokage Rock? I'll need to think carefully. Perhaps creating an entirely new masterpiece would make it even more memorable? Very well. Nagato agreed after considering Hidden Leaf Village's current strength. To ensure the Jinchuriki doesn't escape, I'll lead the operation to capture the 9 tails Jinchuriki, accompanied by Conan, Sasori, and Deidara. Yes. The 3 replied in unison. Leader, I request to join the mission as well. Terai, who had remained low-key since joining Akatsuki, suddenly spoke up. Oh? Pain regarded him with mild interest. State your reason. Leader, as a former member of Hidden Leaf Village's Root Division, I'm intimately familiar with the village's defense systems, both inside and out. I also know the details of Hidden Leaf Village's sensory barriers. Terai laid out his credentials. Understood. I approve your request. Thank you. For the first time, the usually emotionless Terai appeared slightly excited. Lord Denzo, I will avenge you. After lunch at Minato's home, Naruto was sent to his room for a nap, while Minato and Jiraiya sat on the couch to chat. Jiraiya-sensei, you're back because of Naruto, aren't you? Minato poured tea for Jiraiya. Yes. Jiraiya replied, holding the teacup. From what I've learned, the Akatsuki has already captured the tailed beasts from 1 tails to 7 tails. If this continues, they'll soon target Naruto. That's true. The only ones left are Hidden Clouds Village's Killer Bee and my Naruto. Minato, however, seemed unfazed. Do you know something, Minato? Jiraiya asked, sensing something unusual. Minato smiled. Hasn't Lady Tsunade told you? Told me what? Jiraiya was confused. It concerns Kaido Uchiha's ultimate goal. Minato said, taking a sip of tea. Kaido? Jiraiya frowned. I'd rather not explain it verbally anymore. Minato put down his teacup, disappeared for a moment, and returned with a notebook in hand. Here are the details. Take a look yourself. He handed the notebook to Jiraiya. Oh? Why so secretive? Did something major happen? Feeling a sudden sense of tension, Jiraiya opened the notebook and began reading. After skimming the first few lines, his expression turned from confusion to disbelief. This can't be true. Jiraiya-sensei. Minato interrupted with a smile, holding his teacup. Why don't you finish reading before jumping to conclusions? Fine. Jiraiya resumed reading, flipping through the pages quickly. However, as he read, his expression gradually softened. Minato noticed the change and his mouth twitched slightly. Jiraiya-sensei must be thinking the same as Kakashi. Impressive, Minato. Jiraiya closed the notebook with excitement, giving Minato a big thumbs up. Ha ha ha. You nearly fooled me. This outline is incredible. Combining a compelling story with shinobi history and current events. Brilliant. As expected of my talented disciple. Don't worry, Minato, as your literary mentor, I'll help you connect with a publisher. This isn't a novel, Jiraiya-sensei. Minato replied with a calm smile. Jiraiya blinked. Well, whether you need a recommendation from a renowned author or a preface for your book, just say the word. Minato simply smiled without responding. Jiraiya reopened the notebook. This isn't a novel? It's not. Chapter 245. At this moment, Jiraiya seemed to have countless thoughts swirling in his mind, yet he felt utterly blank, unable to process anything. If all of this were true, then the mission he had clung to, dedicated his entire life to, would become nothing more than a cruel joke. Could it be that all his efforts, all his struggles over the years, were meaningless fantasies? Such a realization was something even a steadfast man like Jiraiya found nearly impossible to accept in an instant. But what if Kaito was lying? Jiraiya recalled his one and only encounter with Kaito, when that man had entrusted him with a message for Mount Myabaku. He didn't want to doubt the toads of Mount Myabaku. After all, they were his second family. Without the help of those toads, he, who had once been a dead last, would never have reached the heights he had achieved today. Even so, his intuition told him that Kaito's words might very well be true. At that time, neither the great toad sage nor Lord Fukasaku had shown any unusual behavior. Lord Fukasaku's explanations had seemed entirely reasonable. Yet, in hindsight, Jiraiya felt that something about it didn't sit right. Minato. He looked up and forced a weak smile. I'm going to see Tsunade. Understood, Jiraiya-sensei. Minato replied, having already guessed his intent. It's good to get to the bottom of this. Even I can't be sure if what Kaito said is true or not. I'll find out. Jiraiya said, his expression more serious than ever as he stepped out of Minato's house. He looked up at the sky, took a deep breath, and leaped onto a neighboring rooftop, heading straight for the Hokage's office. Tsunade. Jiraiya pushed open the door to the Hokage's office and strode in. What are you doing here again? Tsunade set her pen down and glared at him irritably. You've heard from Minato, haven't you? About this so-called truth from Kaito Uchiha. Jiraiya got straight to the point. Huh? Tsunade frowned, her irritation growing. How would I know if it's true or not? At best, we can only mentally prepare ourselves. She glanced at the towering stack of paperwork on her desk and tossed her pen aside. If it's true, even better. Let the world end already. I'm done with this job. No. I have a way to verify it. Jiraiya stepped forward, speaking in a low voice. You? Tsunade looked at him skeptically. Summoning animals. Jiraiya reminded her. Especially the sages of the three great sacred lands. They've lived through countless eras and surely know the truth of history. Then why don't you ask the great toad sage of Mount Myabaku? Tsunade asked, still doubtful. Isn't he the same old fraud who sent you chasing after this so-called child of prophecy all these years? Jiraiya's tone grew somber. Precisely. That's why I can't ask the great toad sage. You don't know this, but there's something I've never mentioned before. Jiraiya said. Kaito once entrusted me with a message for Mount Myabaku. What was the message? Tsunade's expression grew serious. 1,000 years have passed. I hope this time, they make the right choice. Jiraiya repeated Kaito's words. It seems that the summoning beasts are indeed tied to the history Kaito spoke of. Tsunade murmured, her expression shifting. Exactly. Jiraiya said, wiping his face. And later, Mount Myabaku's explanation was completely contradictory to Kaito's words. What did they say? Tsunade asked. Jiraiya repeated Fukasaku's explanation. So Fukasaku implied that Kaito, as a non-Myoji, sought to enslave the summoning beasts? Tsunade pondered this for a moment. I understand now. She looked at Jiraiya. I'll ask the slug sage myself. Do it now. Jiraiya urged, his impatience clear. Have you considered that even if Kaito's words are true, the slug sage's account might be the same as the great toad sage's? Tsunade stood up. No. Jiraiya shook his head. If the slug sage's words align with Fukasaku's, it means neither is lying. But if their accounts differ, even if both contradict Kaito's version, it means they're hiding something. Then let's ask. Tsunade agreed. She bit her right thumb and drew a line of blood across her left palm. Forming a series of hand seals, she pressed her palm to the ground, summoning jutsu swirling under her hand. Summoning jutsu. Poof. With a burst of smoke, a half-human-sized slug appeared on the floor. Tsunade-sama. The slug raised its head and extended its antennae. Tsunade straightened up. Slug, I need to speak with the slug sage. Take me to the Shikatsu forest. Yes, Tsunade-sama. The slug split into two, one half disappearing with a poof. Moments later, Tsunade vanished as well. Jiraiya, left behind, began pacing anxiously around the office. What's going on? The remaining slug asked. Tsunade has gone to confirm something. You'll know soon enough. Jiraiya replied without elaborating. I see. Now I understand. The slug said after a moment. Jiraiya continued pacing restlessly. You seem anxious. The slug said, its antennae twitching. I can tell you the answer. Really? Jiraiya stopped in his tracks, his eyes fixed on the slug. Of course. The slug raised its head slightly. Please, tell me, slug sage. Jiraiya knelt down eagerly. Yes, Kaido Uchiha, the one who became a non-Myoji. The slug said in its usual unhurried tone. Yes, that's him. Jiraiya said urgently. What Kaito said about history is the truth. The slug confirmed. As for the present or future, I cannot say. It's true? Despite having mentally prepared himself, Jiraiya still felt a heavy blow. He collapsed onto the floor, sitting in stunned silence. Is it hard to accept? The slug tilted its head. Jiraiya lowered his head, saying nothing. You're a legacy of Mount Myabaku, aren't you? Is it because they didn't tell you the truth? The slug asked. Jiraiya finally managed to speak. For years, I've been searching for the child of prophecy mentioned by the great toad sage. Gamamaru? The slug said. Don't worry. He hasn't led you astray. Jiraiya fell silent again. The slug nudged him gently. Don't worry. When the Six Paths brothers sealed Kaguya Otsutsuki, Gamamaru played a significant role. Mount Myabaku is fine. And the child of prophecy? Jiraiya asked, still hung up on his years of work. The future is uncertain. Gamamaru only sees fragments of possibilities. The slug explained. He just prefers to be prepared. And what about you? Jiraiya turned to the slug. Why did you choose to reveal the truth directly? It's simply an animal's instinct to survive. I dislike conflict. The slug replied, slithering away. Tsunade-sama is returning. Goodbye. Poof. White smoke rose, and Tsunade reappeared. Well then, I'll take my leave as well. Poof. The slug disappeared. Chapter 246, Tsunade, you're back. Jiraiya immediately scrambled to his feet. Tsunade's expression was grim, her thoughts a tangled mess. She walked behind her desk and slumped into her chair, rubbing her temples with her fingers. This isn't something we can handle on our own anymore. I know. Jiraiya rubbed his face. But other villages won't believe any of this. We need to talk to Kaido. Tsunade said, regaining her composure. Let's hope we can convince him to change his mind. You mean to stop the nine-tailed beasts from being collected? Jiraiya thought for a moment and nodded. That's definitely the best approach. I'll call Minato over. Jiraiya said, bolting for the door. Tsunade also stood up and went to the adjacent room, where Shizune was sorting through paperwork. Shizune, summon Shikaku to come here immediately. Yes, Lady Tsunade. Shizune said, setting aside her files and hurrying out. Tsunade returned to her office, but with her mind preoccupied, she couldn't focus on the documents in front of her and instead closed her eyes to rest. Before long, Shizune returned with Shikaku in tow. Lady Tsunade, Nara Shikaku is here. Thank you. Tsunade said, opening her eyes. Shizune, stand guard outside. Unless it's Jiraiya or Minato, no one else gets in. Understood. After Shizune shut the door, Shikaku stepped forward. Lady Hokage, what's going on? Shikaku, this is a serious matter. I need your wisdom. Tsunade explained everything to him. I see. So you verified it through the long-lived summoning beasts. Shikaku said with a nod. That means Kaguya Otsutsuki really existed. This was almost too much to process. Even though Minato had mentioned it before, Shikaku still felt overwhelmed. After all, I'm just an ordinary, lazy middle-aged ninja. Why am I being dragged into something so terrifying? I understand, Lady Hokage. Shikaku said. Jiraiya-sama's suggestion aligns perfectly with yours. It's the safest option. Better to nip the threat in the bud. Letting Kaguya resurrect and then defeating her? What kind of crazy plan was Kaido thinking up? Lady Tsunade. Minato suddenly appeared in the office with Jiraiya by his side. "You're here," Tsunade said, looking up. "We need to talk to Kaido. Minato, can you contact him?" Jiraiya-sensei already mentioned it. Minato pulled a communication paper doll from his ninja pouch. "No problem. We can talk to him directly." "What's that?" The other three stared curiously at the paper doll, which had simple facial features drawn on it. "Let me activate it." Yellow Sage Mode markings appeared on Minato's face as the paper doll twitched and suddenly stood up. "Minato?" The paper doll's drawn-on face moved, and Kaito's voice emerged from it. "Kaido, the Hokage and others want to talk to you." Minato placed the paper doll on the desk. "Of course. Who's there?" "I'd be delighted to chat with everyone," the paper doll said, bowing slightly as its eyes turned into smiling crescents. "I'm the fifth Hokage, Tsunade," Tsunade said, suppressing the urge to poke the paper doll, her tone serious. "Also here are Jiraiya and Nara Shikaku. We're here to discuss matters on behalf of Hidden Leaf Village." "I understand," the paper doll said, blinking. "Tsunade-senpai, Jiraiya-senpai, and Shikaku-senpai. None of you are strangers. I've confirmed the truth of the history you mentioned with the Slug Sage," Tsunade said, getting straight to the point. "We'd like to reach a consensus with you on this matter." "The Slug Sage? I didn't expect it to be so straightforward." Kaido's voice sounded slightly surprised. "You brat." Jiraiya jabbed a finger at the paper doll. "You made me deliver that cryptic message back then." The paper doll floated lightly out of Jiraiya's reach. "Jiraiya-senpai, given the situation, you wouldn't have believed me anyway." "Humphrey." Under Tsunade's stern glare, Jiraiya retracted his hand. Tsunade gave Shikaku a meaningful look. "Hello, Kaido-kun. I'm Shikaku," Shikaku said as he stepped forward. "Hello, Shikaku-senpai," Kaido replied smoothly. "Kaido-kun, you're young yet incredibly strong, and you carry the heavy burden of saving the world. It's truly impressive," Shikaku began, offering sincere praise. "Oh, not at all. It's merely out of necessity," Kaido replied humbly. "But you, Shikaku-senpai, are someone I've admired since I was young. As the brilliant leader of the Nara clan, you're a genius among geniuses." "You flatter me." "Not at all. Since you acknowledge my small amount of cleverness, I'd like to discuss something with you," Shikaku said, easing into the main topic. "Of course. I enjoy exchanging ideas with different people," Kaido replied graciously. "With your strength, why are you allowing the Akatsuki to collect the tailed beasts?" Shikaku asked. "You're asking why I don't stop Kaguya's resurrection at the source, correct?" Kaido replied directly. "Exactly. War inevitably causes casualties. It's safer to prevent the danger early," Shikaku said. "Is that how you all see it?" Kaido's tone remained gentle. "Yes," Shikaku answered firmly. "No. War is unavoidable," Kaito said, his tone calm, as if stating a fact. "Why?" Jiraiya interrupted. "Why do you insist on stirring up war?" "Jiraiya-senpai, you're misunderstanding me," Kaito said in the same calm tone. "This war cannot be avoided. It's out of my hands." "Kaito, is there something we don't know?" Minato leaned in closer. "Indeed, you're missing part of the picture," Kaito replied, sounding resigned. "When Kaguya descended from the heavens, she wasn't alone." "What?" The four ninja in the Hokage's office exclaimed in unison. "That's correct. Kaguya Otsutsuki had companions, and behind her stands an entire clan," Kaito explained, his voice growing serious. 1,000 years have passed, and the time bought by our predecessors' efforts is running out. Members of Kaguya's clan will soon arrive. The time we have left to prepare is dwindling." "What's going on?" Tsunade's brows furrowed deeply. One calamity wasn't enough? Now there's more? The others also felt a wave of unease, their hearts gripped by an inexplicable dread. "Don't panic. Panic won't help," Kaito said, his tone softening. "Since you've learned part of the truth, I'll share more with you from here on." Chapter 247, In Kaido's view, there are many things that can be openly discussed. In the past, he chose not to speak about them simply because he knew many people wouldn't believe him, and some might even suspect he had ulterior motives. Moreover, these matters would eventually come to light one day. After all, when it came to resisting the invasion of the Otsutsuki clan, Kaido didn't want to shoulder all the responsibility alone. Every living being on this planet should contribute to this cause. Kaido briefly recounted the past events, and after hearing his story, the four people in the Hokage's office fell silent for a moment. The content of his tale was simply too earth-shattering. As shinobi, they had all walked through blood and fire, and none of them lacked experience in war. However, when the scale of the war escalated to a planetary level, They couldn't help but feel a sense of helplessness. I'm not sure how many members of the Otsutsuki clan exist out there, but based on what we know now, the situation we'll face in the future is likely to become increasingly dire. Kaito said, feeling that he wasn't exaggerating the threat. Defeating Kaguya is a must. Kaito further explained. The god tree fruit that Kaguya consumed was born by absorbing the planet's primordial energy. We must reclaim that power. The Otsutsuki clan roams the universe, using the god tree to plunder planetary energy. In my opinion, they are the universe's top predators. To prepare for the arrival of the powerful Otsutsuki clan, we must strengthen our own forces as quickly as possible. I've envisioned that once the planet's primordial energy, stolen by the god tree, is returned, this scarred planet beneath our feet will truly come back to life. At that time, the abundant energy will completely transform the planet's environment. Even barren lands like the Land of Wind will gradually return to the fertile soil they were thousands of years ago. On the other hand, only after Kaguya's resurrection will most people on this planet realize the reality we must face. At that point, with a common powerful enemy and the immense benefits brought by the return of the planet's energy, people from different nations will truly unite. The shinobi world will finally achieve true peace. Hearing the excited heartbeats and the slight heavy breathing of the others, Kaito knew his speech had succeeded. He had long known that the shinobi of Hidden Leaf Village, whether it was the Hokage or a Genin, loved to talk about pursuing peace. After all, he had spent 10 years in Hidden Leaf Village himself. And the people here, whether it was Jiraiya, Tsunade, or Minato, were all individuals with a strong vision for peace. Thanks to Hashirama Senshu, his ideals had deeply influenced generations of Hidden Leaf Village shinobi. Kaito had merely painted a picture of a better future, but there was no denying that this picture looked enticing, smelled delicious, and made people want to take a bite. Jiraiya swallowed hard, his voice trembling slightly. If that's the case, maybe true peace in the shinobi world really is possible. Could it be that Kaito is the true child of the prophecy? No, the child of the prophecy was just something the great Toad Sage mentioned, and it might not be accurate. Could it be that Kaito is actually the child of the planet? To protect the planet, to resist the powerful invaders, all life on the planet will eventually unite and fight against the formidable enemies from the universe. Minato was already immersed in the grand epic he had imagined, almost moved to tears. He even began to think further. When he was active on a cosmic battlefield, the name Yellow Flash might not be impressive enough. At that time, he should call himself the void-traveling planet-guarding Flash Warrior. Tsunade also silently thought that perhaps her grandfather's wish could truly be realized. Wait a minute. Only Shikaku Nara remained calm and thoughtful. We still have to face the invaders threatening the planet. That can't really be called peace, can it? Kaito immediately agreed. Indeed, that's why I only mentioned peace within the shinobi world. True. The priority is how we'll deal with the invasion from the outsiders. Jiraiya snapped back to reality. However, there's no need to worry too much. Kaito began his next round of persuasion. Based on the intelligence gathered by our predecessors, the Otsutsuki clan usually sends enemies in pairs of 2. Moreover, due to their long lifespans, the Otsutsuki clan perceives time differently from humans. As long as we can defeat the initial 2 enemies, we'll gain a long period of time to develop further. Have faith in yourselves. Humanity has always been able to create great miracles in the face of adversity. If that's the case, then I feel much more at ease. Jiraiya sighed in relief, smiling narcissistically. This sage is still in the prime of his life and can fight to save the world for many more years. When this sage unleashes his full power on the battlefield, his heroic and dashing figure, fighting to save the world, will surely capture the hearts of countless beauties. But if I become too popular, it'll be troublesome. After all, a handsome man like me is always too soft-hearted to hurt the fragile hearts of any woman. Heh. Jiraiya suddenly let out a perverted laugh. Idiot. Tsunade glared at him disdainfully. This guy is definitely thinking about something perverted. Creating miracles, huh? Minato stroked his chin. That really gets my blood pumping. Don't worry, with me, the void-traveling planet-guarding Flash Warrior. Here, I'll definitely protect our planet with everything I've got. That's all too far in the future. Let's focus on the matter of Kaguya for now. Shikaku struggled to bring the conversation back on track. Right. Minato returned to reality. For me, the most important thing right now is to ensure Naruto's safety. What we need to deal with now is the Akatsuki's capture of the tailed beasts. This is related to Hidden Leaf Village's safety. Tsunade also calmed down. Although I don't know why Nagato has become the way he is now, I'll try to persuade him. Jiraiya also returned to the harsh reality. And Obito. Minato thought of his student. Of course, Kaito hadn't revealed all of his plans. Latest news, the Eight Tails Jinchuriki, Killer Bee, has been captured by the Akatsuki. He suddenly announced. Prepare yourselves. To obtain the Nine Tails, Hidden Leaf Village will soon face an invasion from the Akatsuki. What? Tsunoda's expression changed. So soon? I've placed some reconnaissance measures around the shinobi world. Kaido lied without batting an eye. But there's a delay in the intelligence. We just received news about the Eight Tails. Wait, so you could have stopped this, couldn't you? Tsunoda was furious. If you let Killer Bee be captured, what about Naruto? Jiraiya snapped back to attention. Does your plan require sacrificing Naruto? Finally, you've caught on, Shikaku thought with a smirk. Don't worry. Kaido replied calmly. With Minato here, and for Sasuke's sake, I wouldn't do that. To revive the Ten Tails, we only need a portion of the Nine Tails chakra. Chapter 248, Don't worry. Minato stepped forward with a smile. I also have half of the Nine Tails inside me. You only sealed half of the Nine Tails inside Naruto? Jiraiya was hearing this for the first time. Tsunoda and Shikaku also looked at Minato in surprise. Naruto had just been born at the time, and he was too young. Minato patted his stomach. So I split the Nine Tails into two halves based on its yin and yang attributes, leaving the yang half with him. You brat. Tsunoda opened her mouth but only managed to say. You've been hiding this well. Ha ha ha. Minato laughed awkwardly. The fewer people who know about this, the better. Are you saying you're willing to sacrifice the Nine Tails inside you? Tsunoda frowned. No. Minato waved his hands anxiously. If I did that, the Nine Tails would definitely get angry, and Naruto would suffer. Then what exactly are we supposed to do? Tsunoda looked at the communication paper figure on the table. This problem is quite simple. Kaido's voice came through. I don't know if you remember the Gold and Silver brothers from Hidden Clouds Village. Those two who killed my grandfather? Tsunoda certainly remembered. Exactly. Those two brothers were swallowed by the Nine Tails but ended up consuming its flesh and blood, gaining its chakra. Kaido began to explain his plan. Although those two brothers have been dead for a long time, I'll have Orochimaru make a deal with the Akatsuki. Orochimaru? Jiraiya and Tsunoda immediately became alert. That guy is also connected to Kaido? Correct. Orochimaru is quite sharp. Kaido didn't hide it. He got some information from Richie Cave and took the initiative to come to me for cooperation. Right now, Orochimaru is my ally. That damn snake, always finding loopholes. Jiraiya was annoyed that Orochimaru had beaten him to the punch. Are you saying? Tsunoda, equally displeased with Orochimaru, guessed. The impure world reincarnation? Exactly. Kaido confirmed her guess. However, the Gold and Silver brothers are just a backup plan for the Akatsuki. They will definitely still invade Hidden Leaf Village, so you should prepare as soon as possible. I understand. Tsunoda sighed. It's all your fault for stirring up the Hyuga clan earlier. Her temper flared. Now I'm completely overwhelmed. In that case, would you like to make a deal with me, Tsunoda-sama? Kaido ignored the accusation and instead made a gentle proposal. I feel like you've been waiting to say this all along. Tsunoda sensed something. I'm only proposing this deal because we're future comrades. Kaido's voice was full of grievance. Please don't think that way. The Hyuga clan's caged bird seal needs to be removed as soon as possible. If we take it slow, the descendants of Hamura on the moon might catch on and cause trouble halfway through. Tsunoda didn't bother arguing with him and asked directly. Tell me, what's the deal? Kaido's voice returned to normal. I can send a clone to help the Hyuga clan remove the seal. When the Akatsuki invades, all I need is for you to cooperate a little. I need to take something from Nagato. You want the Rinnegan? Jiraiya asked sharply. Of course not. Kaido feigned grievance again. The Rinnegan is crucial for the Ten Tails revival. I won't touch it. What I want to take is just a summoning object. What is it? Jiraiya wanted a clear answer. The King of Hell statue summoned by the Naraka Path of the Six Paths of Pain. Kaido told the truth. Jiraiya recalled the information Kaido had given him earlier. Is that the technique that can fully restore the Six Paths of Pain? Exactly. Kaido confirmed. Since you need to destroy this restorative technique to defeat pain, why not let me seal it away? Is that thing important to you? Tsunoda asked. Not that important. It's just helpful for some of my research. Kaido, of course, didn't tell the truth. Why make a deal? Tsunoda sensed that Kaido was hiding something. Given the strength this guy has shown before, he could easily act on his own. I just want to be lazy. Kaido stubbornly insisted. Of course, it's because I don't want to reveal myself and let Nagato know I've taken the King of Hell statue. TCH. Knowing that Kaido was being evasive, Tsunoda immediately started bargaining. In that case, add one more condition to the deal. Tsunoda said firmly. When the Akatsuki invades Hidden Leaf Village, you must also provide us with assistance. Is that so? No problem. Kaido agreed readily. I can provide you with very accurate intelligence support. Just intelligence? Tsunade wanted more. Isn't intelligence enough? Shinobi battles are essentially a contest of information. Kaido held his ground. The intelligence I can provide will be very advantageous for you. It includes the exact timing of the Akatsuki's attack, their personnel, and detailed information on their abilities. In short, don't expect me to take direct action. Seeing that she couldn't squeeze more out of him, Tsunade simply said. Fine, the deal is settled. Then it's decided. Kaido concluded. I'll send a clone to Hidden Leaf Village as soon as possible. Goodbye, everyone. The communication paper figure's lively features returned to a lifeless state, and it fell lightly onto the table. The Hokage's office fell into silence. After a long while, Tsunade broke the silence. She rubbed her temples wearily. Let's stop here for today. We've received too much information. Everyone should go back and process it. Alright. Jiraiya felt he indeed needed some time to digest everything. I'll head back first. Naruto might have gone off to train on his own. I need to keep an eye on him. Minato walked forward, picked up the communication paper figure, and disappeared in a flash using the Flying Thunder God technique. You two can go as well. Tsunade waved her hand. We'll continue discussing the village's evacuation and defense tonight. Understood. Shikaku turned and walked out, feeling utterly drained. Sigh, I just wanted to live a peaceful life until old age. Why am I suddenly involved in so many earth-shattering events? It's all because of this clever brain of mine. Maybe I should have started playing dumb from a young age. But I shouldn't share this trick with Shikamaru. Once that kid grows up, this old man can finally retire. Wait, thinking about it, my future still looks bright. Shikaku couldn't help but smile in satisfaction at the thought. I'll just rest here for a bit. Jiraiya pretended to sit down on the sofa. Don't worry, I won't disturb you. He winked and grinned. If you're tired, you can always admire this sage's handsome face. Get out. Tsunade grabbed a thick book from the table and hurled it at Jiraiya's head. Chapter 249, That night, Hidden Leaf Village held an emergency meeting for its Jonin. Tsunade announced that, according to reliable intelligence, the Akatsuki had already captured all the tailed beasts except for the Ninetales, and their next target was Hidden Leaf Village. During the meeting, she detailed the village's defense and emergency evacuation plans. At the same time, she disclosed the known information about the Akatsuki members. Once the meeting ended, the entire village sprang into action. Even the still unstable Hyuga clan sent a group of shinobi to participate in the village's defense. Although shinobi activities were usually covert, the villagers of Hidden Leaf Village were not without a sense of crisis. They keenly sensed the tense atmosphere within the village. Starting the next day, the streets of Hidden Leaf Village were noticeably quieter than usual. Outside the village gates, Kurenai Yui led Team 8 on a patrol through the forest. Kurenai-sensei, would enemies really dare to invade Hidden Leaf Village directly? Kiba asked casually, sitting on Akamaru's back. Doesn't that just sound like a suicide mission, Kiba? The intelligence about the Akatsuki invading Hidden Leaf Village was personally confirmed by the Hokage. Kurenai said sternly. Moreover, the Akatsuki members are powerful and dangerous outlaws. We must be cautious. Woof woof. Got it, got it. Kiba patted Akamaru's head. I'll take it seriously. Akamaru too. Woof. Shino, Hinata, you too. Kurenai added. Stay alert at all times. Yes, Kurenai-sensei. Shino and Hinata responded immediately. I'll remain cautious. Shino added. If you ask why, it's because Kiba and I are different in personality. Insects are creatures that survive by being careful. Humphrey, dogs are the most alert animals. Kiba retorted, annoyed. Enough. Kurenai interrupted their banter. Hinata, use your Byakugan to scout. Yes. Hinata quickly formed hand seals. Byakugan. That is. She seemed nervous. Kurenai-sensei, someone's coming. What? The enemy's already here? Kiba immediately went on alert. Akamaru, get ready for battle. Woof. Stay calm. Kurenai held out her hand to stop Kiba. Hinata, how many people are coming? One person. Hinata maintained her Byakugan. No chakra. It doesn't seem like a shinobi. What? Hinata, you should have said that earlier. Kiba relaxed. Sorry, Kiba-kun. Hinata lowered her head. Don't let your guard down. Kurenai stepped forward. Let's go check it out. Yes. The four of them, along with Akamaru, moved swiftly through the forest and hid behind some bushes. Soon, the approaching figure came into view. A tall young man with black hair and eyes, a handsome face, and wearing a neat black kimono, walked leisurely toward them. "It's him." Kurenai stepped forward. "It's that man." They had all witnessed a shocking battle from a distance years ago, and now they remembered the scene. Kaito saw the group ahead and smiled warmly. "Hello, I'm Kaito Uchiha, here as per my agreement with Tsunade-sama. I'm Hidden Leaf Village Jonin Kurenai Yui." Kurenai responded politely. "The Hokage has already informed us. Welcome to Hidden Leaf Village, Kaito-san. Come out. According to the Hokage's orders, we need to escort Kaito-san to meet her." She instructed her students. The remaining three and Akamaru emerged from the forest, looking curiously at Kaito. "Hello." Kaito observed them briefly. "You all have unique traits. A Hyuga, an Aburame, and an Inuzuka." "Hello." The three greeted politely. Kaito nodded with a smile, then turned to Kurenai. "Thank you, Kurenai-san. Please." Kurenai led the way, and Kaito walked beside her. The three younger shinobi followed behind, whispering among themselves. "That guy seems pretty ordinary, but Akamaru is scared of him," Kiba said quietly. "Whimper." Akamaru stayed close to Kiba, walking cautiously. "My insects are also unusually quiet," Shino added. "That's a scary guy." Kiba slowed his pace. "Shino-kun, Kiba-kun, don't worry." Hinata reassured them. "He's a guest invited by the Hokage." "Hinata, you don't get it." Kiba kept his distance. Hinata didn't say more. In fact, she knew a bit more than her teammates. This man was invited by the Hokage to help the Hyuga clan's branch family remove the caged bird seal. And so, the group split into two as they entered Hidden Leaf Village's gates. Once inside, Kaito's presence attracted many gazes. Curious, wary, hostile. Both overt and covert glances came from all directions. Kaito maintained a gentle smile, walking calmly and unfazed. "Kurenai-san, it seems you've already prepared for battle." He struck up a conversation. Kurenai paused for a moment, replying cautiously. "Yes, everyone is working hard to face the threat of the Akatsuki. No need to be nervous." Kaito gave her a reassuring look. "I'm currently Tsunade-sama's ally." "Understood." Kurenai put on a professional smile. Kaito looked away and didn't say more. As they approached the Hokage building, a blonde boy ran toward them. "Hey! Uncle Kaito." Naruto sprinted over. "It's Naruto." Kaito turned, his smile becoming slightly forced. "Long time no see." "He called me uncle again." "Uncle Kaito." Naruto stopped in front of Kaito, looking up at him. "Uncle Kaito, where are Sasuke and Ji right now?" Hearing Naruto's question, the others immediately perked up. Hinata also looked up, her eyes filled with hope. "I don't know." Kaito reached out and tapped Naruto's head. "They've gone off to train on their own." "Damn it." Naruto rubbed his head, pouting. "Tell Sasuke I've mastered a new move. Next time, he's definitely going to lose to me." "You can tell him that yourself." Kaito refused to relay the message. "Humphrey." "I will." Naruto narrowed his eyes at Kaito, but seeing that he wouldn't get any more information, he turned and stomped away. "Sorry about that. Let's continue." Kaito turned back to Kurenai with a smile. "It's fine, Kaito-san." Kurenai resumed walking. "The Hokage is waiting for you in her office." "Understood." Kaito nodded and continued walking beside her. "What's up with Naruto?" Kiba felt a newfound respect for him. "He's yelling at such a scary guy. I'm starting to admire his courage." "No, you don't need to admire him," Shino said calmly. "If you ask why, I think Naruto is just too oblivious." "Really? I thought that idiot had suddenly become so strong." Woof woof woof. Chapter 250, Hokage-sama. Kurenai Yui was the first to push open the door to the Hokage's office and walk in. Kaito followed her inside. "Tsunade-sama." He bowed gracefully, his demeanor elegant. "It's our second meeting." Kaito. Tsunade, seated behind her desk, had a complicated and somewhat stifled expression. "Welcome to Hidden Leaf Village." She still stood up to greet him. "Kaito. You evil devil. Let me go at once." A voice filled with curses, like a howling demon, drifted in through the window. Kaito ignored it, smiling and nodding at Tsunade. "You're too kind, Tsunade-sama." He then turned to Kurenai and said. "Thank you for escorting me here, Kurenai-san." "You're welcome, Kaito-san." Kurenai replied, then addressed Tsunade. "I'll take my leave now, Hokage-sama. You still have missions to attend to, so go ahead." Tsunade nodded. "Yes." Kurenai exited the office. "Kurenai-sensei." Hinata and the others, who had been waiting at the other end of the hallway, approached her. "Let's go, we need to continue our patrol mission," Kurenai said, leading the way toward the exit. "Yes." Kiba and Shino quickly followed. Hinata glanced back at the door to the Hokage's office before leaving with her teammates. Kaido-san, please have a seat here. Inside the Hokage's office, Shizune gestured to Kaido. Kid, come over here. Jiraiya, sprawled on the sofa in the reception area, weakly waved his hand. Kaido nodded at Shizune and walked over to Jiraiya. It's been a while, Jiraiya-sama. After speaking, he sat upright on the sofa across from Jiraiya, his posture formal. Tsunade also walked over and sat down beside Jiraiya. Kaido-san, Tsunade-sama, Jiraiya-sama, please have some tea. Shizune brought over a tea tray and served tea to the three. Thank you, Shizune-san. Kaido thanked her politely, then added apologetically. It's just a shame that I'm currently only a clone and can't truly appreciate your tea-making skills. At this moment, Kaido exuded a gentle and refined demeanor, his manners impeccable, and his words as soothing as a spring breeze, making it easy for others to feel goodwill toward him. It could be said that his current behavior was a far cry from how he acted in front of Izuna and the others. It's fine, Kaido-san. Shizune's tone unconsciously softened. Tsunade-sama, I'll leave you to it. She picked up the tea tray and exited the office, closing the door behind her. Kaido picked up the teacup, sniffed the aroma, and glanced out the window at the eaves. Kaido listening to the curses that only he could hear, he smiled slightly and gently set the teacup down. It seems Lord Denzo is still doing quite well. Trapped in a paper puppet, forced to watch his reputation crumble and his clan fall, yet he still has the energy to curse. Even Kaido couldn't help but admire Denzo's resilience. With a subtle hand seal hidden in his sleeve, the curses abruptly stopped. You got here pretty fast, kid. We only agreed yesterday, and you showed up first thing this morning. Jiraiya said casually, his words laced with probing intent. Coincidentally, this clone of mine wasn't far from Hidden Leaf Village. Kaido replied politely. Oh? So you've placed these long-term clones all over the shinobi world? Jiraiya teased, a playful look on his face. You're quite the sneaky one. It's all for the sake of gathering more information about the Otsutsuki clan. Kaido smiled slyly. Maintaining clones requires a lot of effort. I have no choice. Of course, it's all for the fight against the Otsutsuki. You've worked hard. Jiraiya said, feeling a toothache coming on. It's my duty. Kaido accepted the praise without a hint of guilt. SS. Jiraiya sucked in a breath. This kid is really hard to deal with. Tsunade-sama, I've come this time to fulfill our agreement. Kaido turned his attention to Tsunade. When shall we begin the process of removing the Hyuga clan's caged bird seal? We can start anytime. Tsunade didn't beat around the bush. Although the Hyuga clan is currently helping to protect the village, many of their shinobi are still without missions. I'm ready to start whenever. Kaido said. I'll follow your arrangements, Tsunade-sama. Then let's head to the Hyuga clan now. Tsunade stood up decisively. With Hidden Leaf Village in such a turbulent state, she clearly didn't want to delay this matter. Wait. Jiraiya stopped her. What is it? Tsunade asked impatiently. Don't we still need to clarify the intelligence about the Akatsuki's attack? Jiraiya muttered. Don't worry, Jiraiya-sama. Kaido said understandingly. The Akatsuki won't attack Hidden Leaf Village for at least 3 more days. He also stood up. I'll inform you as soon as I receive more specific information. Ha ha ha. That's a relief. Jiraiya pretended to relax. Kaido didn't pay much attention to Jiraiya's exaggerated acting and turned to Tsunade. Tsunade-sama, shall we head to the Hyuga clan now? Alright. Tsunade led the way out of the office. After leaving the Hokage building, the group walked through the quiet streets. Tsunade and Jiraiya flanked Kaido, with the Hokage's guard team surrounding them. Their presence attracted even more overt and covert glances along the way. Kaido remained completely unfazed, his demeanor calm and composed. You're different from many Uchiha I have ever met. Tsunade suddenly spoke, looking at Kaido. Perhaps it's because I'm not a shinobi. Kaido replied gently. No, it has nothing to do with being a shinobi. Tsunade said firmly. Your personality is very different from the Uchiha I have known. Is that so? Kaido smiled shyly. I'll take that as a compliment, Tsunade-sama. TCH, such a pretentious kid. Tsunade looked away. I understand what you mean, Tsunade-sama. Kaido continued. The Uchiha of the past were too proud. That superficial pride gradually turned into arrogance. However, this is a common trait among all major clans in the shinobi world. The Uchiha were just more outwardly expressive. Arrogance, huh? Tsunade seemed to be reminiscing. Tsunade-sama, in the end, the Senju clan was also arrogant. Kaido said. How so? Tsunade wanted to hear his thoughts. The Senju clan's arrogance also came at a heavy cost. Kaido spoke in a casual tone, But his words were sharp and to the point. Hidden Leaf Village was founded by the Senju and Uchiha clans. From the very beginning, both the Senju and the Uchiha placed themselves in a special position. Later, due to Madara Uchiha's actions, the Uchiha clan took a step back. However, the Senju clan always equated Hidden Leaf Village with their own clan, blindly shouldering too much responsibility. That, too, was a form of arrogance. That's why, during the First Shinobi World War, the Senju clan suffered far greater losses than the other clans. Chapter 251, Perhaps he was right. Tsunade felt a sense of melancholy. She recalled her childhood. When her grandfather, Hashirama Senju, was still alive, Hidden Leaf Village was like a paradise on earth, and no one dared to invade. The title of God of Shinobi was like the blazing sun, and everyone could only look up in awe. In such an environment, all the clan members held their heads high, filled with pride. How could they not be proud? Her grandfather's presence was simply too radiant. However, after her grandfather's death, everything changed. The towering mountain that had loomed over everyone collapsed, and those in the shinobi world who were filled with greed and ambition, having been suppressed for too long, eagerly jumped out. When the war began, all the clan members were still immersed in the glory of the past. They desperately clung to the honor that, in reality, belonged solely to Hashirama Senju. The result, of course, was devastating. Many clan members went to the battlefield and never returned. Perhaps her grandfather's younger brother, Tobirama, had also realized this, which was why he ultimately pushed aside all opposition and dispersed the remaining clan members, completely erasing the Senju name. Even she and her younger brother, Nawaki, were not given the Senju name. Her brother, in the end, was still influenced by it. Simply because their grandfather was the Hokage, he naturally wanted to become the Hokage. Eager to make achievements, he acted impulsively and carelessly fell into an enemy trap. Indeed, the Senju and the Uchiha were not so different. Both paid a heavy price for their pride. Tsunade. Tsunade. Tsunade snapped out of her thoughts, and Jiraiya was looking at her with concern. I'm fine. No, that's not right. The Senju clan sacrificed themselves to maintain peace and protect the village they had built together. That was righteousness. Tsunade steadied herself, glanced at Kaito with mixed emotions, and then exchanged a look with Jiraiya. A dangerous guy, very skilled at manipulating people's hearts. As the Hokage, she should consider the village her most important priority. Yet, just now, under this kid's guidance, she had strayed from that, unconsciously comparing the value of the Senju clan to that of Hidden Leaf Village. What's wrong, Tsunade-sama? Kaito seemed completely unaware. You really do see everything clearly. Tsunade said. When I was young, I enjoyed listening to the elders in my clan tell stories, and I ended up hearing a lot about the deeds of our ancestors. Kaito explained casually. Since I couldn't use chakra or train, I ended up thinking a lot about these things. What he said was his genuine opinion, but he had subtly added a bit of mental suggestion. If Tsunade hadn't already harbored similar thoughts in her heart, her mind wouldn't have been swayed. But that was normal. After all, everyone has their own selfish desires. In the end, someone like Hashirama Senju, a saint, was the real anomaly. However, at this moment, both Tsunade and Jiraiya also felt that Kaito was an anomaly among the Uchiha. While the Uchiha were skilled in Genjutsu, they had never displayed such methods before. From what Minato told me, you're meddling with the Hyuga clan because there are still humans on the moon monitoring the shinobi world? Jiraiya changed the subject. Correct. Kaito nodded. As you've probably heard, Hamura, the younger brother of the Sage of Six Paths, went to the moon to guard Kaguya's seal. So, if there are humans on the moon, they share the same roots as the Hyuga clan? Jiraiya asked. Exactly. After Kaito had reached an agreement with Hayashi, he learned about the destiny borne by the Hyuga clan and began to form more conjectures. I didn't expect the Hyuga clan to be so eager to remove the caged bird seal. Jiraiya said with a complicated tone. Although I've never approved of the main family's enslavement of the branch family, the existence of the caged bird seal has effectively prevented the Byakugan from falling into enemy hands. Are you worried that other villages might steal the Byakugan? Kaito understood his concern. He shook his head as if helpless. There's no other way. To gain something, you have to lose something. Not everything can be resolved perfectly. Do your best to protect the Hyuga shinobi. He reminded them. Before long, when the entire shinobi world stands on a united front, the things you're worried about won't be as severe. Some people's greed knows no bounds. Jiraiya sighed. Even with an external enemy, those who act selfishly won't reduce their own desires. Perhaps. Kaito said noncommittally. The Hyuga clan made their own choice, and they must bear the consequences themselves. The current situation was clearly guided by this guy. Tsunoda and Jiraiya both looked at him with mixed feelings. Why are you two looking at me like that? Kaito seemed oblivious. He's pretending again. Tsunoda and Jiraiya averted their gazes. I merely went along with the flow. Kaito tucked his hands into his sleeves. Everything was their own choice. Though that was true. Jiraiya thought. But why does this kid make me so annoyed? We're here. Tsunoda announced. Kaito looked up and saw the gate of the Hyuga clan, with its hanging plaque. Under the plaque, the gate was wide open, and a young girl in a kimono stood at the entrance, accompanied by several Hyuga clan members. The three of them approached. Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sama. Hinata Hanabi bowed slightly. Welcome to the Hyuga clan. She then bowed again to Kaito. Lord Kaito, it's our first meeting. I am Hanabi Hyuga, acting head of the Hyuga clan. First meeting, Lady Hanabi. Kaito returned the greeting. I am Kaito Uchiha, head of the Uchiha clan. Lord Kaito, Hokage-sama, Jiraiya-sama. Hanabi gestured with her hand. Please. Lady Hanabi, please lead the way. Kaito smiled warmly. Please follow me. Hanabi stepped forward to guide them, and everyone entered the Hyuga clan's compound. The Hyuga clan members and the Hokage's guard team followed behind. The group walked along the main path that ran through the center of the Hyuga clan's territory and arrived at the main house. Everyone took their seats, and maids brought out hot tea. No need to stand on ceremony. Tsunoda picked up her teacup, took a sip, and set it down. You all know why we're here. Let's get started as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Hokage-sama. Hanabi, kneeling formally, bowed slightly. With Hidden Leaf Village currently preparing for an enemy attack, the Hyuga clan's affairs can wait until after the war. There's still some time before the enemy invades. There's no need to delay this matter. Tsunoda waved her hand and spoke seriously. However, as the Hokage, I must make a statement beforehand. Please speak, Hokage-sama. Hanabi lowered her head. The decision to remove the caged bird seal was proposed by the Hyuga clan. Tsunoda's gaze swept over all the adult shinobi in the room. You must understand the difficulties the Hyuga clan will face after losing the caged bird seal. Please be fully prepared for the consequences. Hokage-sama, thank you for your reminder. Takuma, standing beside Hanabi, stepped forward and knelt on one knee. I assure you, the actions of the Hyuga clan are the will of our people. If we suffer any misfortune as a result, we will not blame others. Very well. Tsunoda picked up her teacup again. Chapter 252, then. Kaito glanced at the Hyugas in the room and asked with a smile. Miss Hanabi, have you decided who will go first? It's decided. Hanabi nodded, her gaze shifting to an elderly man with graying hair standing at the door. Grandpa Masatoshi. Yes. The old man stepped forward. Esteemed ones, I am Hyuga Masatoshi. Let the removal of the curse mark begin with me. This elderly man, Hyuga Masatoshi, appeared to be in his 70s, and his strength was rather limited. Tsunoda immediately understood the Hyuga clan's intention, to have the less valuable elder take the lead in testing whether the curse mark removal technique carried any risks. This was a common practice in the shinobi world, and Kaito was well aware of it as well. Thus, neither of them objected. Very well. Tsunoda spoke up. However, to save time, let's call one more person. Kaito and I can remove the curse marks from two people simultaneously. Agreed. Kaito nodded in agreement. In that case, we will follow the arrangements of Lady Hokage and Lord Kaito. Hanabi nodded, her gaze shifting to another elderly man. Grandpa Yashitaka. Yes. Hyuga Yashitaka also stepped forward. Then let's begin. Tsunoda stood up decisively and walked over to Hyuga Masatoshi, who had already sat down cross-legged on the floor. From my estimation, the removal process will likely be quite painful. Tsunoda began forming hand seals, then placed her right hand, enveloped in green chakra, on Hyuga Masatoshi's forehead. Begin, Lady Hokage. Hyuga Masatoshi closed his eyes calmly. Do not worry about me. Endure it. Tsunoda's chakra slowly penetrated Hyuga Masatoshi's brain, methodically unraveling the complex curse mark within. Hyuga Masatoshi's face began to pale, and he clenched his teeth tightly. As Tsunoda's chakra delved deeper, his entire body started to tremble, and cold sweat poured down from every part of him. Hold on. Tsunoda's voice rang out. If we fail, there's no turning back. Hyuga Masatoshi's aged face twisted in pain, and he let out a muffled groan. Time passed second by second, and Hyuga Masatoshi had never felt time drag on so slowly before. The pain in his brain was so deep, excruciating. In his decades of life, he had always been an honest man, never offending the main family, and had never experienced the punishment of the caged bird seal. But now, he thought to himself, perhaps the punishment that others feared so much was just like this. As he pondered this, his thoughts began to blur. Hold on. It's almost done. Tsunada's voice rang out again. In that case, I'll endure a little longer. After all, my grandson is watching me over there. Though I have no talent and have lived my life as an unknown chunin, even an ordinary old man like me has moments when he wants to earn his grandson's admiration. It's done. At that moment, Hyuga Masatoshi felt Tsunada's voice was like a heavenly sound. When Tsunada withdrew her hand, his body was drenched in cold sweat as if he had been pulled out of water, and he collapsed to the ground, utterly exhausted. Grandpa. Masatoshi's grandson anxiously rushed forward to help him up. Are you okay, Grandpa? I'm fine. Masatoshi's voice was weak. He opened his eyes, searching for Hyuga Yoshitaka, who was in the same predicament. Grandson, how is Grandpa Yoshitaka? Ah, don't worry, Grandpa Yoshitaka is fine. Masatoshi didn't notice the subtle tone in his grandson's voice. That's good. Help me down, so we don't delay the others. He patted his grandson's arm. Yes, Grandpa. The grandson half-carried the exhausted old man to their original spot. Wow, you really look rough, Masatoshi. It was Yoshitaka. Huh? Masatoshi looked up at Yoshitaka, who was dry and full of energy. Yoshitaka. He examined Yoshitaka's appearance. You didn't go through the curse mark removal? It's already done. Yoshitaka patted his smooth forehead. Masatoshi, your eyesight isn't what it used to be. Masatoshi blinked, staring at Yoshitaka's bare forehead. No curse mark, no hair. What's going on? Could Yoshitaka be so much stronger than me? We're both just old men. Grandpa, look over there. The grandson quickly prompted, seeing his grandfather's confusion. In the center of the hall, in front of Tsunada sat a trembling young man who couldn't help but tilt his head back in fear as Tsunada began forming hand seals. In front of Kaito, a young girl walked over with a joyful expression, her eyes sparkling as she sat down and looked at him. Kaito smiled gently, his eyes flashing red. A pentagram formation appeared on the floor beneath the girl. His right hand glowed with spiritual light as he placed it on the girl's forehead. The girl closed her eyes, a smile on her face. The light flashed, the formation disappeared, and Kaito withdrew his hand. It's done, he said softly. The girl opened her eyes, touched her smooth forehead, and then glanced at her clan brother, who was trembling under Tsunada's hands. She couldn't help but break into a wide smile. Thank you, Lord Kaito. Go ahead, next. Kaito nodded. Yes. The girl stood up cheerfully and walked back to her seat with a bright smile. On the other side, Masatoshi, who had witnessed all of this, trembled as he muttered. How could this be? Grandpa. His grandson comforted him. It can't be helped. After all, this method was developed by Lord Kaito. The grandson leaned in and whispered. You were just unlucky today, ending up with Lady Hokage. She might not be as skilled. Yoshitaka, sitting nearby, patted Masatoshi's shoulder and comforted him with righteous expression. You've worked hard, Masatoshi. He. Masatoshi glared at Yoshitaka, who was looking at him, certain that the old man was secretly gloating. Remembering the torment he had endured under Tsunada's hands, he had felt proud of himself for enduring it. But now, seeing someone else go through it so effortlessly, the old man couldn't bear the injustice. Wah! After much thought, the old man finally broke down in tears. The sudden crying drew the attention of everyone in the hall. Grandpa. The grandson quickly covered his grandfather's mouth and loudly announced. My grandfather is just overwhelmed with emotion after finally being freed from the caged bird seal. We understand. The Hyuga clan members averted their gazes, silently praying. Ancestors, please don't let me end up in Lady Hokage's hands. Wah! You unfilial grandson. Masatoshi glared at his grandson. Grandpa, we're in the clan leader's house. The grandson whispered soothingly. Ah, the older my grandfather gets, the more he acts like a child. Wah! I can't accept this. Tears wet Masatoshi's graying temples. Chapter 253, At this moment, Tsunada, who had been deeply engrossed in the curse removal, finally noticed the subtle atmosphere in the hall, and a few cross-shaped veins popped up on her forehead. These guys, how dare they look down on my curse removal technique? She withdrew her hand, letting the young man, drenched in cold sweat, collapse to the ground. Watching as the young man was dragged away, her sharp gaze swept over the crowd, who were avoiding her eyes, and she let out a cold laugh. You! She pointed at a young man who was still devoutly praying with his eyes closed. The young man was nudged by someone next to him, and when he opened his eyes from his prayer, he met Tsunada's gaze. Come here. Tsunada commanded. Me? He pointed at himself in disbelief. Tsunada nodded. The young man, who had just finished his devout prayer, opened his eyes to this terrible news, and his heart sank. Ancestors, why didn't you hear my prayer? Stop dawdling, come here quickly. Tsunade stared at him, her voice cold and urging. Yes. Lady Hokage. The young man wore an expression of facing death with resolve as he painfully moved his legs, slowly walking over to Tsunade. Sit down. Yes. The young man sat down with a bitter expression. What, are you scared? Tsunade began forming hand seals. Eek. The young man trembled, shaking his head desperately. Don't be afraid. Tsunade's hand covered his forehead, and she let out another cold laugh. It'll be quick. Ugh. The young man was as if struck by lightning, sweat pouring down his face. Eek. All the Hyuga clan members in the hall who hadn't yet undergone the curse removal couldn't help but tremble. Kaido glanced to the side and smiled. There was no helping it. Tsunade's method of curse removal was completely different from his own. When he had researched the caged bird seal, he had only considered it from his own perspective. In other words, the true curse removal technique was the one he used. The information he had given to Tsunade was merely a detailed analysis of the caged bird seal structure and the steps needed to dismantle the seal in sequence. In other words, Tsunade's method was something she had developed herself by combining the information with her own medical ninjutsu. With Tsunade's level of medical ninjutsu, she could achieve complete curse removal. However, the process was inevitably painful. After all, Tsunade couldn't soothe a wounded soul. The Hyuga ninja who underwent Tsunade's curse removal not only had to endure indescribable pain during the process, but their wounded souls would also need time to naturally heal afterward, which was clearly not a short process. It couldn't be done in one step like Kaido's method. However, that wasn't without its benefits. Everyone, although Lady Tsunade's method is different from mine, the results are actually better. Kaido suddenly spoke up. Then, under the crowd's "how are you going to talk nonsense" gazes, he continued. Although you have to endure pain, it's not without its rewards. Even Tsunade looked at him in surprise. She thought to herself, how come I didn't know they could gain anything from this? Kaito maintained a gentle smile on his face, his hands never stopping as he slowly explained. According to my research, the caged bird seal on your bodies may seem like it's just imprinted on your foreheads, affecting your brains, but in reality, it has penetrated deep into your souls. Kaido ignored the ugly expressions on everyone's faces upon hearing this and continued. But there's no need to worry. The human body and soul can influence each other. Damage inflicted on the body can affect the soul, and a strong body can also nourish the soul. He removed another cursed seal and put his hand down. When I remove the curse, there's no pain because, as a yin-yang master, I can ensure the intactness of your souls. In other words, does Lady Hokage's curse removal method harm the soul? The Hyuga clan ninja exchanged glances, growing even more fearful of Tsunade. The young man in Tsunade's hands was on the verge of fainting from fear. However, this also means that while you are safe and pain-free, you won't gain any benefits. Kaito spoke again. Benefits? How can there be benefits when the soul is injured? Everyone was confused. As I said, unless the damage is severe, a slightly injured soul can also be repaired through the body's nourishment. Kaito said. Those who undergo Lady Tsunade's curse removal, although they experience pain and their souls need time to heal afterward, also gain significant benefits. Stop beating around the bush. Everyone was listening intently to his words, but inside they were roaring. Kaito smiled at the young man who had came to sit in front of him and began the curse removal again. At the same time, he revealed the answer. As long as you strengthen your bodies during the soul's recovery period, your souls will also experience a slight growth. Although it's only a small amount, it can significantly increase your spiritual energy, which is equivalent to what you call mental energy. The Hyuga clan and the Uchiha clan are both Jujutsu families. You should understand the importance of mental energy for Jujutsu. So that's how it is. Everyone understood now, and they began to secretly make plans. After that, many more ninja voluntarily came forward to have their curses removed by Tsunade. Kaito suddenly found himself with much less to do, mainly only needing to handle the elderly and children. Tsunade, who was too busy to stop, glanced at the leisurely Kaito and began to highly suspect. This kid, he definitely said all that just to slack off, didn't he? In the small wooden house within the Uchiha cemetery, Itachi pulled out the paper man that had been silent for several days from the cabinet and held it in his hand. Something's not right, he muttered, staring at the paper man. What's happening in Hidden Leaf Village? Kaito? Uncle. The paper man remained motionless. Itachi pursed his lips and brought the paper man closer to the fire. Just as the flames were about to lick the paper man, the symbols on it finally lit up. Itachi. The paper man moved, slipping out of Itachi's fingers, and Kaito appeared. What are you doing? Just trying to get you to show up. Itachi said, his black eyes fixed on Kaido. What's happening in Hidden Leaf Village? Kaido smiled at him and leisurely sat down on a small stool by the fire pit. Whatever's happening in Hidden Leaf Village, it won't affect this place. You can rest easy. Itachi didn't speak, just continued to stare at him intently. What? Do you still want to take action? Kaido glanced at him with a hint of annoyance. Itachi seemed to lose heart and silently sat down next to Kaido, lowering his eyes without a word. Fine, I'll tell you. Kaido said indifferently. In order to obtain the 9 tails, the Akatsuki is about to attack. Itachi's expression shifted slightly. Kaido looked at him mockingly, his tone laced with sarcasm. What's wrong with you? Now that you know about the threat the Otsutsuki clan poses to the entire world, why do you keep focusing on a small village like Hidden Leaf Village? By your logic. He turned and leaned closer to Itachi's ear, his voice soft. To save the entire world, even sacrificing Hidden Leaf Village would be worth it, wouldn't it? Itachi opened his mouth, reaching out to grasp Kaido's arm. He stared intently into Kaido's eyes. Back then, I was powerless. I couldn't find any path other than killing my family. He said, his grip tightening. If it were you, you would definitely find a better way. Thanks for the high praise. Kaido's body thinned, and his arm slipped out of Itachi's grasp. I won't take action. He said coldly. Hidden Leaf Village has already gained an informational advantage through our deal. If they still lose to the Akatsuki, then it's just fate. Chapter 254, over the next 2 days, Tsunade and Kaido were busy removing the curse marks in the Hyuga clan's territory, while Jiraiya took over Tsunade's duties in the Hokage's office. Starting from the second day, Hinata also returned to the Hyuga clan's territory to learn the curse removal technique from Tsunade. Kaido wasn't aware of the deal between the Hyuga clan and the Hokage, and Hinata couldn't learn his techniques either. Since he was responsible for removing curse marks from fewer people than Tsunade, he was relatively more relaxed overall. On the third day, Kakashi and Yamato, who had been sent by Tsunade to patrol the border forces, also returned to the village. As time passed, more and more ninja who had been out on missions returned to the village. Hidden Leaf Village even temporarily halted mission assignments and stopped accepting any outsiders into the village. On the fourth day, Hidden Leaf Village entered a full state of lockdown. All civilians were evacuated to shelters, and the ninja took their assigned positions. Layers of defenses were set up around the village. Naturally, the curse removal process for the Hyuga clan was also halted. Kaido left the Hyuga clan and stayed at Minato's house. That day, Tsunade finally received detailed intelligence about the Akatsuki invaders from Kaido. The tension in the air was palpable. At the Hokage building, the heads of various departments gathered in the conference room to review the intelligence. That bastard Denzo. Tsunade's expression had been grim ever since she saw Terai's name on the list. Everyone remained silent. A rogue ninja from Root, who had joined the Akatsuki to seek revenge and clear Denzo's name. As for the target of his revenge, it could only be Tsunade, the 5th Hokage. This was a conflict involving the highest levels of Hidden Leaf Village's leadership. Ahem. Jiraiya broke the silence. Since there's a rogue ninja from Root leading them, Hidden Leaf Village's sensory barrier might not function as effectively as it should. Damn it. Tsunade slammed the table, forcing herself to calm down. Takuma, notify the sensory ninja in all directions to strengthen their surveillance. If they detect the enemy, send a signal immediately. Yes, Lady Hokage. Hyuga Takuma, who had already had his curse mark removed, was the head of Hidden Leaf Village's sensory unit for this defense operation. He gave a subtle signal to the person behind him. Hyuga Iroha, who was standing behind him, silently walked out. Once the battle begins, I will be stationed at Hidden Leaf Village Hospital to oversee medical treatment. Tsunade continued issuing orders. Shikaku, Inoichi, you two will be in charge of overall command and communication between departments. Chosa, you will ensure their safety. Yes, Lady Hokage. The Inoshikacho trio stood up and acknowledged the orders. Kakashi will be in overall command of the Eastern Front. Gay, you take the West. Jiraiya will hold the center, and Minato will be responsible for mobile reinforcements. Everyone else, follow the previously determined plans and carry out your duties. The Akatsuki is coming with full force. I ask everyone to give their all to protect Hidden Leaf Village. Yes. The group dispersed. Tsunade stood up. Sakura, come with me to the hospital. Yes, Master. Sakura, who had been by Tsunade's side all day, reported. Master, Shizune should have already arranged everything at the hospital. Tsunade strode out of the conference room and stood in the hallway, looking out the window at the unusually quiet Hidden Leaf Village. Hidden Leaf Village is a treasure left behind by the sacrifices of our predecessors. As the 5th Hokage, I will not allow anyone to destroy it. Sakura looked at Tsunoda's back with admiration. So cool. One day, I will become a powerful kunoichi-like master. Naruto, this time, let me protect you. After leaving the conference room, Minato returned home first. Kaito was sprawled lazily on the couch, while Naruto was pacing around the house anxiously. Whoosh! Minato appeared in the house using the Flying Thunder God technique. Dad. Naruto immediately ran up to him. You're finally back. Naruto, the enemy is coming. Minato said, patting Naruto's shoulder. Those bastards. Naruto clenched his fists. They want to destroy our village just to get the Nine Tails power. Dad. He looked at Minato with burning determination. Maybe I shouldn't stay in the village. Let me lure the enemies away. Naruto, this isn't just about you. Minato looked into his eyes. Even though the enemy's target is you, you're also a member of Hidden Leaf Village. But because of me, the village might get destroyed. Naruto said, extremely reluctant. I don't want anyone to get hurt because of me. Naruto. Minato shook his head. Don't underestimate the determination of all your comrades who are fighting to protect the village. I understand. Naruto lowered his head, suppressing his emotions. Once the battle starts, stay close to me. Minato said, ruffling his hair. Our job is to move around and provide reinforcements wherever needed. Right, I'll do my best. Naruto raised his head, his eyes filled with resolve. I won't let the enemy hurt anyone in Hidden Leaf Village. Good. Minato smiled. Let's fight together. Yeah. Clap clap clap. How touching. Kaido clapped without any sincerity. Minato and Naruto turned to look at the young man who was sprawled lazily on the couch, both unable to hide their disdain. Naruto even felt like he had been deceived. When Kaido first appeared in front of him, Naruto had been deeply impressed. A mysterious and cool onmyoji? So awesome. And he even told him about the Uzumaki clan and his parents, which made Naruto like him even more. In fact, Naruto had secretly envied Sasuke, thinking how great it would be if he had an uncle like that. Up until yesterday, in Naruto's mind, Kaito was still a mysterious and cool guy. But today, Humphrey, Sasuke's uncle isn't that great after all. He's just as lazy as Kakashi-sensei. Minato felt similarly to Naruto. He twitched his mouth and said, Kaito, I remember you weren't like this before. Huh? Kaito was still lying on the couch, staring at the ceiling. Stop nagging. We're close enough now, isn't it fine to be more casual? You're way too casual. Both Minato and Naruto couldn't help but recall the image of Kaito elegantly waving a fan, like a nobleman stepping out of a painting. But now, after another glance at the lump on the couch, both father and son averted their eyes. You guys should go. Don't worry about me. Kaito waved his hand like he was shooing away a fly. I'm just a clone. I can't help much. No, there's one thing you must help with. Minato walked over, crouched by the couch, and grabbed Kaito's hand. Eek. Kaito immediately turned into a sheet of paper and slid off the couch. Talk properly. He reformed and quickly moved to the other side of the couch. That Sage Mode curse mark, give one to Naruto too. Minato smiled brightly. Are you sure? Kaito glanced at Naruto. There's no time for him to adapt to Sage Mode now. Chapter 255, It's fine. Naruto is my son, after all. Minato smiled confidently. He knew that while Naruto might struggle with theoretical learning, he had a natural talent for combat. Alright then. Kaito agreed easily. Really? Minato smiled happily and patted Naruto's head. Naruto, thank Uncle Kaito. Thank you, Uncle Kaito. Although Naruto didn't fully understand what was going on, he obediently expressed his gratitude. No problem. I have high hopes for Naruto's potential. Kaito said with a mysterious smile. Really? Uncle Kaito, do you think I'm a genius? Naruto immediately puffed up with pride. Well, you could say that. Kaito replied vaguely. His right hand glowed with blue spiritual energy as he walked over to Naruto and placed his palm on the back of Naruto's neck. Countless symbols spread from his palm across Naruto's body, then quickly contracted, leaving only a small curse mark on the back of his neck. Done. Kaito withdrew his right hand. Whoa. Orange patterns appeared on Naruto's face as he felt the surge of power within him, and he couldn't help but exclaim in amazement. Minato watched him with a smile. Boom. A deafening explosion suddenly rang out, and flames erupted in the distance. They're here. The three of them hurried to the window and looked outside. Chaos had already broken out in the distance. In the sky above Hidden Leaf Village, a pure white dragon flew high, occasionally dropping bombs. Boom. 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 Explosions continued to ring out as Hidden Leaf Village ninja leaped up and down, but they couldn't seem to hit the target in the air. A giant toad suddenly emerged from the smoke and leaped high into the air, its short sword slashing toward the white dragon. The white dragon nimbly dodged the toad sword and spat out a small flying dragon, which crashed straight into the toad. Flames erupted, and the sound of the explosion echoed across the sky. The small flying dragon suddenly exploded, but the toad countered by spitting out a water cannon. Dad. The enemy's here. Let's go help. Naruto tugged at Minato's sleeve, rushing toward the door. No need to rush. Minato was much calmer than his son. Right now, only that explosive-style ninja, Deidara, is attacking. Master Jiraiya can handle him. No way. I'm going to beat those bastards up. Naruto opened the door and ran out. Wait. Minato sighed and followed, glancing back at Kaido. Go on, go on. Good luck. Kaido waved his hand leisurely. Minato caught up to Naruto, placed a hand on his shoulder, and used the Flying Thunder God technique to disappear from the yard. Kaido smiled, tucked his hands into his sleeves, and slowly walked to the doorway, looking up at the sky. The white dragon circled up and down in the sky, dropping various clay bombs from its back. Chaos reigned throughout Hidden Leaf Village. It looks pretty lively. Kaido smiled again, his body suddenly turning into a paper figure that floated away with the wind. On the Hokage rock, the paper figure drifted down from the sky, and Kaido reappeared, standing on the edge of the cliff and looking down at the scene below. A giant ink bird suddenly flew into the sky, heading straight for the dragon. Minato stood on the back of the ink bird, holding a specially crafted kunai in his hands. Circles of symbols unfolded in the air in front of him. Flying Thunder God guiding thunder. The clay bombs flying toward him hit the symbols and suddenly vanished. Thanks. You can go down now. Minato smiled at the young man controlling the ink bird and threw several kunai at the white dragon controlled by Deidara. On the back of the white dragon, Sasori warned. Be careful of the fourth Hokage's Flying Thunder God technique. Deidara laughed excitedly. No problem. As long as we dodge one attack, even the Flying Thunder God technique can't. What? Before he could finish, Minato suddenly appeared above them, holding a giant Rasengan and slamming it down. Deidara quickly maneuvered the dragon to dodge, but Minato's Rasengan struck one of its wings. You idiot! Sasori cursed as the dragon's wing shattered, sending them plummeting toward the ground. Below, the area had already been reduced to ruins by Deidara's clay bombs. Jiraiya stood on top of Gamabunta's head, watching the white dragon fall. Get ready. He raised his hand and swung it down as the dragon approached the ground. A masked Anbu ninja on a nearby rooftop formed hand seals. Lightning style. 4-pillar binding technique. 4 giant stone pillars shot up into the air, and a dazzling current of lightning surged between them. The dragon, caught in the lightning, melted into clay. A wave of black iron sand surged from the lightning, instantly collapsing the 4 stone pillars. The giant pillars fell, raising a cloud of dust. Minato had already silently returned to the ground. Dad. Naruto pointed at the black iron sand flickering in the dust. It's those 2 who kidnapped Gaara. I know. Be careful. Minato nodded. Jiraiya, standing on Gamabunta's head, didn't wait for the dust to settle before launching his own attack. Fire style. Toad oil flame bullet. Combined with the toad oil spat out by Gamabunta, a raging inferno engulfed the entire area in front of them. The black iron sand had condensed into a sphere, glowing red from the heat. Summoning technique. A woman's voice suddenly came from within the black iron sand. So there's a third person hiding in there? Jiraiya's expression turned serious as he stared at the iron sand sphere. Probably hidden inside the clay dragon. Minato pulled out several specially crafted kunai. Almighty push. A cold male voice rang out, and a powerful repulsive force scattered the iron sand, pushing the flames in all directions. The Hidden Leaf Village ninja dodged frantically, struggling to keep their eyes open in the swirling dust. They chose this method of invasion? Kaito sat cross-legged on the Hokage rock, watching the battlefield in Hidden Leaf Village with a relaxed expression. Perhaps realizing that Hidden Leaf Village was already on high alert, Nagato didn't launch a direct assault. Instead, he used Deidara's flying ability to carry out an aerial attack. By hiding the animal path inside Deidara's clay dragon and then using the summoning technique to call forth the other paths, the 6 paths of pain, along with Deidara and Sasori, and Nagato's hidden body and Konan, Hidden Leaf Village had quite the troublesome enemy to deal with. Kaito smirked, his thoughts wandering. On Hidden Leaf Village's side, Tsunade was busy with medical duties. The only ones capable of handling the 6 paths of pain were Jiraiya and Minato. The others were far from ready. Even Deidara and Sasori weren't easy opponents. I wonder if Might Guy, who practices the 8 gates, will play his trump card. The 8 gates technique is powerful but short-lived. It might not be enough to handle the current situation. You're quite relaxed, aren't you, Kaio-kun? A hoarse voice suddenly came from behind. Kaido didn't turn around, smiling as he replied. Not as relaxed as you, Orochimaru-senpai, traveling all this way just to watch the show. Chapter 256, As the dust settled, the 6 paths of pain, along with Sasori and Deidara, appeared in the sight of everyone. 8 figures in total. Why are there 8 of them now? Naruto was the first to shout. The Night Tails isn't hiding? Deidara immediately locked his gaze on Naruto. How lucky, yeah. What did you say? Naruto glared at him. I have a name, you bomb freak. Jiraiya looked at the familiar faces of the Deva path and the animal path, memories from long ago flashing through his mind. Nagato. He already knew the intel about the 6 paths of pain and directly called out Nagato's name. Jiraiya-sensei. The Deva path raised his head to look at Jiraiya standing on top of the toad. It's been a long time. Indeed, it has been a long time. Although Jiraiya had already known about the 3 of them, facing them now still filled him with sorrow. I'm sorry. I didn't expect the 3 of you to go through such things and become what you are now. No need to apologize, Jiraiya-sensei. The Deva path's tone remained as cold as ever. It's not your fault. Nagato, I always thought you were the one who could change the world. Now, we stand on opposite sides. Jiraiya continued, speaking more to himself. I've disappointed you, sensei. The Deva path shifted his gaze to Naruto. This time, I will take the 9 tails. Minato, leave this to me. Jiraiya clenched his fists. You and Naruto go find his main body. You know quite a lot, Jiraiya-sensei. The Deva path's voice grew even colder. Ha ha ha. Although I've failed as a teacher, I still have some merits as a ninja. Jiraiya took full responsibility for the source of the intel. Don't even think about leaving. The Deva path extended his right hand toward Naruto. Almighty push. Go. Minato reached out and grabbed Naruto's arm. Pervy sage. Don't die. Naruto shouted at Jiraiya before disappearing with Minato. Hey. Leader. You're just letting them go? Deidara almost didn't react in time. It's fine. The Deva path retracted his hand. As long as they care about this village, they'll come back eventually. I see. Deidara reached into his ninja pouch and began chewing on clay. Then let's make a big scene. Let the people of Hidden Leaf Village fully appreciate my art. Sasori had already emerged from his Hiroko puppet, with the 3rd Kazekage's puppet standing quietly beside him. Lord Jiraiya. Whoosh. 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 Figures rushed in from all directions, surrounding the invaders. A fierce battle was about to begin. On the Hokage Rock. Orochimaru's hoarse laughter echoed. No matter how many people they have, it's useless against those guys. Hidden Leaf Village has no choice but to respond like this. Kaido chuckled lightly. Trash is still trash, no matter how much of it there is. How will Jiraiya handle this? Orochimaru's tone was full of schadenfreude. Well, let's just watch. Kaido's hair fluttered in the wind. I hope the ninja of Hidden Leaf Village put up a good fight. After all, what I want is still with Nagato. Magnet style, iron sand drizzle. Sasori, controlling the 3rd Kazekage's puppet, was the first to strike. Countless iron sand needles blotted out the sky as they rained down on the crowd. The Hidden Leaf Village ninja moved in an orderly fashion, many of them forming hand seals simultaneously. Earth style, earth wall. Layers of earthen walls rose, blocking the iron sand needles. Ha ha ha, enjoy my art, Hidden Leaf Village scum. Deidara continuously threw clay bombs. Birds, insects, snakes, and various other shapes. Into the air and onto the ground. Explode. 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 Deidara, his face full of excitement, formed hand seals as explosions rang out incessantly, disrupting the Hidden Leaf Village ninja's formation. Magnet style, iron sand world method. Black iron sand formed dense, sharp spikes, spreading rapidly across the battlefield as the Hidden Leaf Village ninja were thrown into chaos by the clay bombs. Jiraiya, commanding Game Obunta, slashed furiously, but it wasn't enough to stop most of the attacks. In an instant, the heavy scent of blood filled the air, and the Hidden Leaf Village ninja suffered heavy casualties. In the command room. This won't work. These guys are too strong. Numbers mean nothing. Shikaku frowned deeply as he watched the massive surveillance screen. Send orders, Kakashi, Yamato, and Guy are to head to the battlefield to assist Lord Jiraiya. Everyone else, fall back. Understood. Inoichi, wearing a communication device, quickly relayed Shikaku's orders. Fall back. Jiraiya, seeing the dire state of the Hidden Leaf Village ninja, had already ordered the others to retreat. He hadn't expected that Nagato hadn't even made a move, and yet Hidden Leaf Village was already suffering heavy losses. These two. He looked at Deidara and Sasori. Although he had some intel, he had still underestimated them. Boom. 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 Ha 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 ha. Deidara, riding a clay bird, circled in the air, occasionally dropping bombs. This is amazing. My art. The best. Yeah. That idiot is way too excited. Sasori said with disdain. Mere explosions can't be called art. Let me hunt a big one, yeah. Deidara, in the air, had already set his next target on the giant toad beneath Jiraiya. That big guy is mine, yeah. Deidara maneuvered his clay bird higher, stopping directly above Jiraiya's position. C3, number 18. A massive clay doll fell from the sky, heading straight for Jiraiya. Game Abunda. Jiraiya quickly warned. TCH, what a pain. Game Abunda exhaled smoke from his pipe, crouched low, and then leaped high into the air. Huh? Dodged it? Deidara formed hand seals, watching the scene below. But it doesn't matter. As long as I cause destruction, it's fine. Yeah. Just as he was about to shout and detonate the clay doll, a figure shot up from the ground. Chidori. Kakashi, holding a dazzling lightning blade, drilled into the clay doll from below and emerged from the side. Phew. He landed, panting heavily, looking at the melted clay. Good thing I made it in time. Chapter 257, Jiraiya jumped down from the top of Game Abunda's head, his appearance already transformed. The two toads, Fukasaku and Shima, were perched on his left and right shoulders, and his facial features had taken on a more toad-like appearance. You're here. Jiraiya said, standing in the center of the group. Be careful, these guys aren't easy to deal with. Kakashi looked around at the scattered remains of the Leaf Ninja, his Sharingan spinning in his left eye as he gazed up at Deidara in the sky. I'll handle that guy. Kakashi said. Then this enemy is mine. Gai pointed at Sasori. Fine. Jiraiya exhaled, his eyes sweeping over the 6 paths of pain, who had barely made a move so far. That guy who uses wood style, his name's Yamato, right? You stay on standby and be careful. Yes, Lord Jiraiya. Yamato acknowledged the order and quickly moved to hide in another direction. Sage art, hair needle senbon. Jiraiya's hair suddenly exploded outward, the sharp strands transforming into countless senbon that rained down across the entire battlefield. Outside the Leaf Village, Minato and Naruto, along with 3 Hyuga clan ninja, were darting through the forest at high speed. Dad, the village. Naruto grew increasingly anxious as he listened to the constant explosions coming from the village. Stay calm, Naruto. Minato said, remaining composed. We need to find Nagato's main body as soon as possible, or the fighting inside the village will never end. I know. Naruto clenched his teeth in frustration. Damn it. It's all because of me. And now I can't even do anything to help. Minato remained vigilant as he spoke. At times like this, we have to rely on our comrades. Once we find the enemy, that's when we'll get our chance to fight. Lord Minato, don't worry. Said Hyuga Kato, who was following behind them. The Hyuga clan has sent ninja in all directions outside the village. We'll find the enemy's trail soon. That's good. Thank you for your hard work. Minato nodded. You're too kind. As Leaf Ninja, this is what we should do. Naruto fell silent, but his anxiety didn't lessen in the slightest. Damn it. Damn it, damn it. If only I could awaken that Sharingan or something. He tried closing his eyes to sense his surroundings, but he could only vaguely detect a small area around him. Damn it. Still no progress. Lady Hokage. Shizune ran to the top floor of the Leaf Hospital, looking at Tsunada's back. How is it? Tsunada turned around. Shizune shook her head with a sorrowful expression. I see. Those ninja have all sacrificed themselves. There are no injured left to treat. Tsunada said, her expression calm but her fists clenched tightly. It was my mistake in planning. She closed her eyes. Lady Tsunada. Shizune wanted to comfort her but couldn't find the words. Master. Sakura stepped out and stood beside Shizune. You should go and fight. Sakura? Both Tsunada and Shizune turned to look at her. Master, as the Hokage, you must be unwilling to just stay here. Please, leave the hospital to me and Shizune. Sakura's face showed a determined expression. Sakura. Tsunada was moved. She walked up to Sakura and Shizune, looking into their eyes. Shizune. Leave the hospital to you two. Shizune, you handle resource allocation. Sakura, you take charge of treatment arrangements. She turned and walked to the window, looking out at the intense battle in the distance. The wind lifted her hair and the hem of her clothes. As the Hokage, I must protect the village my grandfather built. The battlefield within the Leaf Village had expanded further. The central area, now completely destroyed, had exposed the bare earth beneath. Neither side seemed to have gained the upper hand. Several giant toads were fighting against equally massive summoned creatures, their tremendous strength occasionally slamming into the ground and kicking up clouds of dust. The toads were deliberately driving the summoned creatures toward the outskirts of the battlefield, with Leaf Ninja occasionally jumping out from various directions to provide support. Might Gay had already opened the sixth gate of the 8 gates, moving like lightning across the ground as he dodged the surging waves of black iron sand. Sasori stood steadily, controlling the third Kazekage's puppet to engage Gay in a battle of wits, both sides still testing each other. Kakashi, lacking any means of flight, could only passively destroy Deodara's clay bombs with lightning-style techniques from the ground. Exhausted and running on fumes, he was nearing his limit. Deodara dropped countless clay bombs, but the key ones were always neutralized by Kakashi's lightning style. The rest only served to further destroy the already ruined landscape, leaving Deodara increasingly frustrated. Huff. Huff. Jiraiya panted heavily. I'm really getting old. Don't talk like that, Jiraiya. Shima smacked Jiraiya on the head. That kind of talk doesn't suit you. Ha. Jiraiya's breathing slowly steadied, though his nerves remained on edge. You're right, Shima. I'm the Toad Sage. That said, this battle was truly grueling. Jiraiya thought to himself that if he hadn't obtained detailed intelligence beforehand, he might have already been defeated. Jiraiya-sensei. The Devapath, who had yet to make a move, spoke up. It seems this is all you're capable of. Ha. Don't get too full of yourself, Nagato. This sage still has plenty of tricks you haven't seen. Jiraiya boasted loudly. As he spoke, the 6 paths of pain gathered together again, their 6 pairs of Rinnegan fixed on Jiraiya. Jiraiya-sensei. The Hell Path, made from Nagato's original body, spoke. Though I still feel gratitude toward you, if you continue to interfere, you will die. The Devapath extended his right hand toward Jiraiya. Almighty push. It's coming. Jiraiya felt the intense gravitational pull. Fukasaku and Shima quickly shot out their tongues, wrapping them around nearby debris to stabilize Jiraiya. Jiraiya formed hand seals. Sage Art, Fire-style Great Flame Bullet. A massive wave of fire surged forward, following the gravitational pull. Almighty push. A powerful repulsive force mixed with the flames came rushing back. The 2 sages retracted their tongues, and Jiraiya quickly dodged behind the broken wall. The wall shattered almost instantly, and Jiraiya pressed his hands to the ground. Sage Art, Earth-style Earth Wall. A thick earthen wall rose from the ground, blocking both the repulsive force and the missiles fired by the Azura Path. The 6 paths of pain moved in unison, charging toward Jiraiya's position. The Azura Path's missiles continued to rain down, and the earthen wall in front of Jiraiya was on the verge of collapsing. Wood-style, wood-locking wall. A hemispherical barrier of wooden planks rose in front of the earthen wall, blocking the subsequent missile barrage. Boom! The ground shattered over a wide area, causing the 6 paths of pain to lose their footing. Forced to dodge the cracks opening in the ground, they scattered. The 5th Hokage? The Devapath turned to look at Tsunade, who had suddenly appeared on the battlefield. Chapter 258, Oh, Lady Tsunade is also taking the field. Kaito smiled, glancing at Orochimaru standing beside him, teasing. Orochimaru-senpai, how about stepping up for a comeback battle of the legendary Sannin? Hee, Kaito-kun, how important do you think a title forcibly given by enemies is to me? Orochimaru remained unmoved. Quite impressive. Kaito sighed with feigned regret. I grew up listening to the legends of the Sannin. Quite the morbid curiosity, Kaito-kun. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. Let's see how far Jiraiya and Tsunade can hold out. He licked his lips excitedly. An opponent with a Rinnegan isn't someone easily defeated. Kaito assessed the situation, unsure if Jiraiya and Tsunade stood a chance, and simply said, let's wait and see. Honestly, he was more interested in seeing how Naruto would perform when Hidden Lee Village was pushed to the brink. Long ago, when he first met Sasuke, Kaito noticed something peculiar about Sasuke's fate. When he later saw Naruto, he noticed even more. The fates of these 2 boys were intertwined. After seeing Madara and Hashirama, he seemed to understand something. That's why he had given Naruto the Sage Art Seal. Perhaps these 2 boys would shine brightly in the future. Thinking this, Kaito's smile widened. The stars revealed the trajectory of the world's fate, and he was the one who had abruptly appeared to disrupt it. He decided he should thank that doctor whose soul came from another world, allowing him to be born. Even if he was just a tiny speck in the grand scheme of the world. But as someone who originally didn't exist in the fate's trajectory, he still wanted to use this speck to shift the fate of the entire world. Ah, I've been lost in thought for too long. Kaito turned his gaze back to the battlefield. Jiraiya and Tsunade joined forces, barely managing to hold off the combined attacks of the 6 paths of pain. The Devapath was overwhelmingly powerful, handling most of the offense and defense. It's been a long time since we fought side by side, Tsunade. Despite the difficulty of the battle, Jiraiya's blood boiled as if he had returned to his youthful days. Stop blabbering. Tsunade took a direct hit from the Deva Path's almighty push and was forced back several steps. She exhaled heavily, saying, "It's been a while since we've faced such a tough fight. The last time we were this suppressed was when we fought Hanzo." Jiraiya clasped his hands together, tilting his head back as the two-toed sages on his shoulders puffed their cheeks. "Sage art, go Aemon." Jiraiya spat out toad oil, which combined with the fire from Fukasaku and the wind from Shima to create a powerful fire-based sage art. The 6 paths of pain, having just used almighty push, quickly scattered to avoid the attack. Tsunade seized the opening. Die. She dashed forward, landing a punch on the human path. With a loud bang, the human path's body shattered into pieces. Tsunade then charged toward the animal path. The 6 paths shared vision, and the Azura path quickly fired a laser from its head toward Tsunade. Ian Seal, release. Mitotic regeneration. Creation rebirth. Tsunade unleashed a series of forbidden techniques, ignoring the laser and delivering a devastating punch to the animal path. The animal path, which took the form of a young girl, was instantly destroyed. At the same time, a large hole was blasted through Tsunade's chest. Ignoring her injuries, Tsunade stomped the ground, causing a layer of earth to rise and block the Azura path's follow-up attack. Tsunade. Jiraiya used the teleportation jutsu to appear in front of the Azura path. "Are you okay?" "I won't die." Tsunade's chest rapidly healed as she charged forward, forcing the Preta path, which was trying to sneak up on Jiraiya, to retreat. The two stood back to back. Jiraiya's hair writhed like snakes, entangling with the Azura path's extending saws, while his fists and feet kept the Azura path's ranged weapons at bay. Tsunade took a moment to survey the surroundings. With Yamato's wood style, Kakashi had forced Deidara into the air, while several Anbu skilled in lightning style were helping to clear the falling clay bombs. On the other side, Guy had opened the 7th gate, and with his absolute speed, Sasori's 3rd Kazekage puppet was being pushed into a corner. The situation seemed to be going well. Tsunade let out a slight sigh of relief. Now, all that remained was the enemy in front of them. However, the Deva Path had recovered and extended its hands once more. Almighty push. Outside Hidden Leaf Village, a burst of fireworks shot up from the distant forest. Found them. Naruto immediately sensed the commotion from afar. "Let's go." Minato grabbed Naruto's arm and sped toward the direction of the signal flare. They had to hurry, or the scouting ninja would be in danger. Minato sensed the flying thunder god mark he had left in the forest and, with Naruto in tow, teleported several times, quickly closing in on the source of the signal flare. "So, you've found us so quickly." With 2 large white wings made of paper unfolding from her back, Konan looked down at the 4 people on the ground. "Be careful." Kurenai stood in front of her students, her expression grave as she watched Konan. The powerful aura emanating from Konan had already intimidated everyone in Team 8. Although finding the enemy was a great achievement, they had to hold the line until reinforcements arrived. Sweat dripped from Kiba's forehead as he unconsciously stroked Takamaru's fur. The enemy seems stronger than Kurenai-sensei. Shino made an accurate assessment. "Only Team 8 is here. No matter what, we have to fight with everything we've got. I'll take the first move to test her." Kiba clenched his teeth and stepped forward. Kurenai-sensei and Shino's attacks need cover, and Hinata is always too worried. "Right now, I'm the only one who can do this." Beast Human Clone Jutsu. Akamaru transformed into Kiba's likeness, and both extended their clawed hands. Fang over Fang. 2 tornado-like taijutsu attacks spiraled forward, converging around Konan. With a loud bang, Konan's body disintegrated into a flurry of paper, leaving Kiba and Akamaru without a target as they landed. Paper rain. The paper reassembled, and Konan reappeared in the air. With a flap of her wings, she unleashed a barrage of sharp paper projectiles. "Kiba." Shino only had time to shout a warning before a wall of insects surged from his sleeves, shielding the 3 of them. Kiba and Akamaru ran on all 4s, but the sharp paper still left several gruesome cuts on their bodies. Ugh! With a puff of smoke, the injured Akamaru reverted to his original form. "Akamaru." Kiba desperately tried to rush to his Ninken's aid but was forced back by another wave of paper projectiles. Akamaru whimpered, limping over to Shino's side. Demonic illusion, tree-binding death. Seeing Kiba in danger, Kurenai finally seized the moment to act. Chapter 259, Konan's eyes were dazed as she fell into a Ganjutsu, while Kiba scrambled back to Akamaru's side. "Akamaru, how are you?" Ignoring his own bloodied condition, he checked Akamaru's wounds. Secret technique, Insect Jade. A swarm of insects surged endlessly from Shino's sleeves, spreading out widely like a dark cloud covering the sky, enveloping Konan, who was hovering in midair. "Got you." Shino extended his hands, forming claws. The swarm of insects surrounding Conan tightened and then exploded, revealing a flurry of falling paper pieces. "Shino, be careful." Hinata's startled cry suddenly rang out. White paper pieces gathered behind Shino, and Conan abruptly appeared, holding a paper spear that pierced through Shino's chest. "Shino!" Hinata cried out again, rushing forward. Gentle fist technique, 64 palms of the 8 trigrams. A large 8 trigrams diagram appeared beneath Hinata's feet. She raised both hands, her fingers pointing like lightning at Conan's body. 2 palms, 4 palms, 8 palms, 16 palms. Hinata's fingers continuously struck Conan's body, but Conan remained expressionless, her body once again dispersing into countless paper pieces. At the same time, Shino's body, which had been pierced by the paper spear, gradually melted, turning into a pile of gathered insects. It was an insect clone. "Great, Shino." Hinata breathed a sigh of relief, her Byakugan catching sight of Shino emerging from behind a tree on the other side. "Watch out, above." Following Hinata's warning, Conan flapped her wings and abruptly appeared above the 4 Hidden Leaf Village ninjas. Sharp paper pieces continuously detached from her wings, shooting towards them. Kurenai swung her kunai to block the paper pieces, shouting, "Spread out. Leave it to me, Kurenai-sensei." Hinata dashed forward, her hands spread wide. Protective 8 trigrams 64 palms. Her hands became a blur, firing needle-like chakra from her palms, slicing through all the paper pieces approaching them. As a teacher, standing behind your students in battle is quite irresponsible. Kurenai quickly formed hand seals. Ganjutsu, triple Sakura. Her body suddenly dispersed into scattered cherry blossoms, disrupting Conan's vision. A Ganjutsu of this level. Conan suddenly erupted with powerful chakra. Release. The wings behind her wrapped around her body, blocking the kunai that suddenly appeared in Kurenai's hand. The moment Kurenai made contact with Conan's wings, the paper pieces on the wings came to life, continuously attaching themselves to her body starting from her hands. The gap is too wide. Kurenai genuinely felt a sense of helplessness, only managing to shout to her students. "Run!" One after another, paper pieces covered her face. Kurenai's body, completely wrapped in paper, fell from the sky. Conan, holding a paper spear, turned and thrust it down. "Kurenai-sensei!" "Woof woof woof!" Kiba and Akamaru barked anxiously, while Shino and Hinata rushed to the rescue. Spindle technique. 8 trigrams air palm. Too late. Conan blocked the attacks with her wings, the tip of her spear already piercing Kurenai's chest. Still in time. A kunai arrived, and Minato suddenly appeared, grabbing the spear and halting its downward thrust. Naruto Uzumaki, here. Naruto, clad in a red chakra cloak, extended a chakra beast claw to catch Kurenai. "Kurenai-sensei." The 3 members of Team 8 quickly gathered around. "She's injured." Hinata, seeing the blood seeping from Kurenai's chest, anxiously tore off the paper pieces covering her face. "Ha! Ha!" Kurenai gasped for breath as she regained sight, turning to look at the other side. Minato, holding the spear with one hand, formed a Rasengan with the other and hurled it at Conan. Conan smiled coldly, her body dispersing into flying paper pieces. The Rasengan in Minato's hand dissipated, and he landed. "Kiba. Shino. Hinata. You guys go first. Leave this to us." Naruto, now on all fours, instructed without looking back. "Naruto, 4th Hokage." Kiba finally relaxed a bit. "You really know how to steal the spotlight, Naruto. Let's go, Hinata." Shino stood up. "Kurenai-sensei and Kiba are injured, and so is Akamaru." "Alright." Hinata carried Kurenai on her back. Shino helped Kiba up, and they turned to head towards the village. "Naruto-kun." Hinata looked back with concern. "Let's go." Kurenai's voice was weak. "Staying here will only cause more trouble." The paper pieces gathered, and Conan reappeared in the air. She ignored the departing teammate, simply looking down at Naruto, who now had 3 tails. "The 9 tails has appeared, Nagato." "So Nagato is here too." Minato stood in front of Naruto. "Be careful, Naruto." "Don't worry, Dad." Naruto scanned the surroundings, searching for where Nagato might appear. "Here he comes." The surface of a large tree not far away suddenly revealed layers of paper pieces. The papers scattered, and Nagato, seated on a massive mechanical device, appeared. "I've been waiting for you." Nagato looked down at Naruto, who was on all fours. "As expected, you came to me, Naruto." "What's going on?" Naruto looked up at Nagato in confusion. "What do you mean? Wasn't it you who came looking for me?" Nagato said coldly. "Hidden Leaf Village, having obtained intelligence and prepared for battle, indeed found my true body quickly." "I see." Minato's expression turned serious. No wonder you didn't intercept us during the battle inside the village. What? Naruto was still confused. Those fighting in the village were merely puppets. Nagato stood up, leaving the mechanical device. The wounds on his back, previously pierced by black rods, instantly healed. As long as I can obtain the Nine Tails, those are things I can discard. Time is running out, Nagato. Conan landed beside him. We should capture the Nine Tails before Hidden Leaf Village's reinforcements arrive. Don't worry, Conan. Nagato's Rinnegan gleamed coldly as he looked at Minato and Naruto. It will be quick. Hey. What are you talking about, you bastard? Naruto bared his teeth at Nagato. Inside the village. The moment Nagato left the mechanical device, the remaining 4 paths of pain suddenly collapsed. What's going on? Tsunade retracted her fist, the 100 healing seal marks on her body gradually fading. It seems Minato and Naruto have found Nagato's true body. Jiraiya had noticed the signal flare in the distance. I'm heading there. He swiftly turned and rushed towards the outskirts of the village. Jiraiya. Tsunade quickly followed. What's going on? How did Naruto end up facing that guy directly? Hey, I can't let you go over there now, yeah. Deidara, riding a clay bird, suddenly flew over, throwing a handful of clay spiders at Jiraiya and Tsunade. Chapter 260, Deidara formed a hand seal and detonated the clay spiders. Explosions rang out continuously, forcing Jiraiya and Tsunade to retreat. Sorry. I couldn't stop that guy. Kakashi and Yamato ran over. Flying ability. What a pain. Jiraiya muttered, looking up at the clay birds circling in the air. On the other side, the third Kazekage puppet controlled by Sasori had already lost an armed guy's attacks and could only barely control the iron sand for defense. I need to get serious too. Guy, unable to break through after a prolonged assault, finally stopped and formed a strange hand gesture. Daytime Tiger. A tiger-shaped high-pressure air bullet roared through the air, instantly dispersing the layers of iron sand and slamming into the third Kazekage puppet. Boom. The high-pressure air bullet exploded, shattering both the third Kazekage puppet and Sasori into pieces. Did I get him? Guy panted, exiting the 8 gates formation. Click, click. A strange sound echoed as Sasori's shattered body suddenly reassembled itself. His cloak had disappeared, revealing a body that was no different from a puppet. What? Is this a puppet too? Guy was startled, looking around. Then where's the puppet master? Hey. Sasori. Are you okay, huh? Deidara threw out several high-speed clay birds with 4 wings, taking advantage of the chaos caused by the explosions to fly over to this side. There's no other puppet master. Sasori's blade arms unfolded, and a rope extended from the cavity in his abdomen. I am the puppet master. This guy really turned himself into a human puppet. Tsunade and the others had already arrived by Guy's side. He turned himself into a puppet? That's unbelievable. Guy exclaimed, examining Sasori's form. Guy, are you okay? Kakashi asked. I'm fine, I can still keep going. Guy gave a thumbs up. Puppet masters are experts in poison. To be safe, I'll handle this guy. Tsunade changed her mind. Guy, you go with Jiraiya to take down the enemy's main body. Yes, Lady Hokage. Guy's breathing was still uneven. Sasori, it seems like we can't hold these guys off, huh? Deidara flew over the group on his clay bird, dropping more clay bombs on the Hidden Leaf Village ninja. We're just buying some time. Sasori took a scroll from his back, unrolled it, and opened a compartment on the right side of his chest. Red secret technique, 100 puppets performance. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless puppets flew out of the scroll, quickly filling the entire battlefield. This Sasori guy. So this is his true form. At the top of the Hokage rock, Orochimaru's eyes gleamed. He. No wonder he's always talking about eternal art and such. This is a form of immortality in a way. Kaido chuckled. It seems he's a kindred spirit of yours, Orochimaru-senpai. Don't lump me together with him, Kaido-kun. Turning yourself into a puppet means your life has completely stopped evolving. I hate anything that remains stagnant and unchanging. Orochimaru continued to gaze at Sasori in the distance, his tone disdainful. I see, I understand, Orochimaru-senpai. Kaido replied amiably. Although Sasori and Deidara were strong, they were still somewhat outmatched by Jiraiya and Tsunade. While Kaido and Orochimaru were talking, Jiraiya and Guy, with the help of the others, had already disengaged from the battle and were rushing out of the village at full speed. Tsunade was now charging through the puppet army, smashing any puppet that got close to her. Meanwhile, Kakashi and Yamato had once again entangled Deidara. Soon, more Hidden Leaf Village ninja emerged from the surrounding ruins, increasing the pressure on Deidara and Sasori. The battle between the toads and the animal path's summoned creatures had already been won with the help of the Hidden Leaf Village ninja. The summoned creatures and toads continued to disappear, leaving behind massive areas of ruins in Hidden Leaf Village. Outside the village. After a brief standoff, Minato tentatively threw a kunai. Nagato's eyes flickered, and he cautiously unleashed a repulsive force to deflect Minato's specially crafted kunai. The moment the repulsive force vanished, Minato threw another kunai. Whoosh! Minato closed in with a Rasengan, while a red chakra claw extended from Naruto's body and reached out simultaneously. Nagato calmly extended both hands to meet the attacks of the father and son. Pretapath. Minato felt his right hand go empty as the chakra from his Rasengan was instantly absorbed, and Nagato's hand was already reaching for him. At the same time, Naruto's tailed beast chakra claw rapidly shrank. Minato teleported behind Nagato, his kunai infused with sharp wind chakra aimed at Nagato's head. Meanwhile, Konan had already lunged toward Naruto. Azure Path. Nagato's right arm split into three, rapidly transforming into a mechanical arm that blocked Minato's kunai. Naruto severed the chakra claw and charged at Konan with all four limbs. Rasengan. Naruto's Rasengan hit Konan, and her body once again turned into scattered pieces of paper. Naruto, however, didn't stop and charged straight at Nagato. Nagato was currently engaged in a six-armed battle with Minato. The Azure Path's mechanical arms were endless, and despite Minato's repeated use of the Flying Thunder God technique, he couldn't gain the upper hand in the fight. "Dad, I'm coming!" Naruto shouted as he charged forward, raising another Rasengan. Almighty push! A massive repulsive force erupted, sending both Minato and Naruto flying backward. Even the specially crafted kunai Minato had left on the ground were blown away, disappearing from Nagato's vicinity. "Nagato, hurry!" Konan descended from the sky again. Paper rain. A dense shower of paper blocked Minato and Naruto's advance. Nagato's arms returned to normal as he crouched and slapped the ground. Summoning technique. Poof! A cloud of white smoke rolled out, and the six paths of pain appeared, lying on the ground before him. Two of them are broken? Nagato glanced at the completely destroyed human path and animal path, then stood up. "Take them away, Konan." After giving the order, his body shot into the air, flying swiftly toward Naruto. "Naruto, come here." He extended his right hand. Universal pull. Naruto's body stiffened as he was pulled upward against his will. "Damn it, don't think you will get away with this." The three tails behind Naruto stood up, their tips pointing upward, and shot out like lightning. The gravitational pull vanished, and Nagato soared into the air, dodging the tails. His arm transformed into a cannon, and with a faint flash, a blue laser shot downward. Boom! Dust and smoke erupted. Chapter 261, Before the dust could settle, Nagato had already turned around to look at Minato and Naruto standing on a branch on the other side. It turned out that just before the laser cannon hit, Minato had used the Flying Thunder God technique to teleport Naruto away at the last moment. Nagato slightly furrowed his brow. It seemed that obtaining the nine tails would not be easy. After all, the Flying Thunder God technique was too troublesome. He would have to defeat the fourth Hokage first. So, Nagato clasped his hands together. Planetary devastation. A black sphere suddenly rose into the sky, unleashing an unprecedented gravitational force. The ground shattered, and countless trees, rocks, and soil were pulled toward the black sphere in the sky. The tree beneath Minato and Naruto's feet was uprooted, rising toward the black sphere. "That's..." Minato glanced up at the sky and was startled. He reached out to grab Naruto's arm. "We have to get out of here." Whoosh! A laser shot over again, separating Minato's hand from Naruto's. The sound of tearing air echoed as countless paper shurikens spun rapidly toward Naruto. Konan, who had already wrapped the bodies of the six paths of pain in paper, rejoined the battle. Nagato had already closed in. By now, Minato and Naruto had been forced apart, standing on two distant, rising chunks of rock. "What is that?" Naruto used his tail to sweep away the paper shurikens and looked up at the sky. Trees and rocks from the ground were being pulled toward the black sphere, piling up on its surface. "Naruto." Minato's expression remained calm as he crossed space to appear beside Naruto, placing a hand on his shoulder. "Let's go." At the same time, Nagato had already arrived. Before Minato could teleport away with Naruto, Nagato reached out and touched Minato's body. Whoosh! Minato and Naruto instantly disappeared, flickering several times before finally escaping the range of the planetary devastation. Running away won't help. My goal has already been achieved. Nagato suddenly clenched his right fist, and the black sphere formed by the planetary devastation exploded. Boom! A deafening explosion shook the earth, and the previously pulled up rocks and soil fell back to the ground. Nagato and Konan left the aftermath of the planetary devastation behind, flying toward Minato and Naruto's direction. Soon, the four of them faced each other again. Konan, proceed as planned. Yes. Nagato landed on the ground, while Konan rose into the air. Naruto. Minato's face showed yellow markings. Use your newly gained power to fight. Got it. Orange markings appeared on Naruto's face as he formed hand seals. Multiple shadow clone technique. Naruto's main body held a Rasengan, and with the help of his shadow clones, the Rasengan grew larger and spun faster. A buzzing sound filled the air as the Rasengan gradually took the shape of a shuriken. Let's go. Minato threw several kunai, and a Rasengan appeared in his hand as he teleported next to Nagato. In that instant, the Rasengan in his hand suddenly grew countless times larger. Sage Art, Ultra Big Ball Rasengan. Sage Art, Wind Style, Rasen Shuriken. Naruto simultaneously threw the Rasen Shuriken in his hand. Almighty Push. Nagato's full-powered repulsive force blocked the attacks from Minato and Naruto, rapidly expanding the repulsive force and pushing the father and son away. It's too late, fourth Hokage. Nagato clasped his hands together. Human Path. Purple flames rose, and the giant King of Hell emerged from the ground, opening its mouth. Your soul has been marked. A strange hand extended from the King of Hell's mouth, rapidly reaching toward Minato. This is Minato. Midair tried to use the Flying Thunder God technique to dodge, but his body suddenly stiffened. The strange hand accurately pierced through Minato's abdomen. Dad. Naruto charged forward with a Rasengan, smashing it toward the strange hand. A dense shower of paper suddenly poured down from the sky. Get away. Naruto's tailed beast chakra erupted, and he charged through the paper without regard. Although the paper, controlled by Konan's chakra, became sharp, it couldn't pierce through Naruto's tailed beast cloak. Dad, I'll save you. Naruto shouted anxiously, but he was slowed down by the layers of paper. Minato turned his head and keenly noticed something unusual in the paper. Naruto, defend. What? Before Naruto could react, the explosive tags mixed in with the paper began to detonate one after another. Naruto. Minato anxiously slashed at the strange hand piercing his abdomen with a kunai. It's too late. Nagato's chakra erupted. I'll take your soul now. The strange hand piercing Minato's abdomen suddenly yanked, dragging Minato's soul back. Minato's kunai fell from his hand, and his body began to flicker. His soul and the strange hand were in a tug of war, but he still struggled to endure, desperately trying to see Naruto's condition. If you were alive, you wouldn't be so easily captured. Nagato's chakra erupted again, and Minato's soul was pulled out further. All the dead cannot escape the King of Hell's grasp. Dad. On the other side, the dust settled, revealing Naruto, covered in blood, lying on the ground. Dad. It's too late. Nagato erupted once more, completely dragging Minato's soul into the King of Hell's mouth. Minato's body disappeared, leaving only a broken paper figure slowly falling to the ground. Dad. Dad. Naruto's eyes gradually turned wild as he turned his head, his beast-like pupils glaring fiercely at Nagato. You bastard. How dare you? Boom. A visible black-red chakra erupted violently, radiating endless malice. Naruto's face became blurred as the tailed beast chakra completely enveloped him, and 3 more tails grew from his back. Roar. The 6 tails flailed wildly as Naruto, resembling a small fox demon, roared at the sky, with white bones forming around his body. An endless stream of chakra rapidly gathered and compressed in his mouth. Nagato. Konan's worried voice came from the sky. It's fine. Nagato calmly retracted the King of Hell and ascended into the sky just as the tailed beast bomb was fired. Roar. The tailed beast bomb shot out from Naruto's mouth, leaving a deep trench in the ground before exploding. A beast that has lost its mind is easier to deal with. Nagato looked at the crater in the forest and then coldly at Naruto. This time, you have nowhere to run, Naruto. I'll take the 9 tails now. He clasped his hands together once more. Once more planetary devastation. Chapter 262, the Black Sphere reappeared, and a more massive gravitational force than before suddenly erupted. The already destroyed forest began to crumble on an even larger scale. That is. Jiraiya looked up at the sky. The second time. Speed up. Oh, youth does not allow tardiness. Guy roared, and the 2 of them began to sprint at full speed. Not good. It's Naruto. Jiraiya noticed the small-tailed beast lying on a piece of land in the sky. Guy. Please. Understood. 8 gates released formation, the first inner gate, the gate of opening, open. 8 gates released formation, the second inner gate, the gate of healing, open. 8 gates released formation, the third inner gate, the gate of life, open. 8 gates released formation, the 4th inner gate, the gate of pain, open. 8 gates released formation, the 5th inner gate, the gate of limit, open. 8 gates released formation, the 6th inner gate, the gate of view, open. 8 gates released formation, the 7th inner gate, the gate of wonder, open. Guy's chakra surged into the sky, and in a flash, he disappeared from sight. Naruto. Hold on. Jiraiya ran as fast as he could. That technique. Fukasaku looked up at the sky with a grave expression. Pa, I know. Shima's voice trembled slightly. I hope little Naruto will be safe. Lord Fukasaku, Lady Shima, do you know that technique? Jiraiya asked while running at full speed. That is the strongest sealing technique used by the Sage of Six Paths, planetary devastation. Fukasaku explained. So it's because of the Rinnegan, the same eyes as the Sage of Six Paths. Jiraiya didn't have time to reflect, running as fast as he could towards Naruto's direction. Ahead, Guy's speed in the 7th gate state was astonishing, and in the blink of an eye, he was close to the range of planetary devastation. At this moment, Naruto's position was close to the continuously growing sphere in the sky. Naruto. Guy ignored Nagato and Konan standing on the other side, leaped up, and jumped continuously along the rising land fragments of varying heights, quickly approaching Naruto. Naruto. What's going on? How are you? Naruto had another tailed beast ball ready in his mouth, and Guy's approach made him alert. He turned his head and aimed the tailed beast ball directly at Guy. Hey. I'm not a bad guy. Guy quickly jumped to another land fragment. Naruto turned his head again and fired the tailed beast ball towards Nagato's direction. Then, he began to move again, jumping on the land fragments in the sky, charging towards Nagato's location. At this time, Nagato had already taken Konan to a higher place in the sky, higher than the planetary devastation sphere. Naruto couldn't catch up with Nagato's figure and roared at the sky again. Naruto, calm down. Guy approached again, only to be swiftly swept away by Naruto's tail. Naruto. Again, swept away. No choice. Guy, who didn't approach again, stood on a land fragment and looked up at the increasingly closed sphere. Then I can only start with this thing. He made a strange gesture with his hands. Daytime tiger. The tiger-shaped compressed air bullet roared and slammed into the sphere in the sky. A violent explosion sounded, and the outer layer of the sphere's land and rocks shattered, revealing the black core inside. The gravitational force did not dissipate, and in an instant, the shattered land and rocks tightened again. Damn, still not enough. Guy gasped for breath, his body softening. And I've been in the 7th gate for too long today, my body is almost at its limit. Can you still make one more attack, Guy? Jiraiya's voice suddenly rang out. Jiraiya-sama, youth knows no limits. The veins on Guy's forehead and neck bulged, and he stretched out his hands again. Daytime tiger. The tiger roared, and the compressed air bullet slammed into the sphere again. I'm going in. Jiraiya leaped up, rapidly approaching the sphere in the sky along the gravitational force. The moment the outer layer of the sphere was shattered by Guy, he darted inside while raising the massive Rasengan in his hand. Senjutsu, Ultra Big Ball Rasengan. The huge Senjutsu Rasengan collided with a black core of the planetary devastation sphere. I'll lend you a hand. Fukasaku spat out a thin stream of water from his mouth. Water slash. Creak creak. A teeth-grinding cracking sound rang out. It's going to explode, Ma. Fukasaku shouted a warning. Understood. Shima turned her head, her tongue shot out, quickly wrapping around a rock below, and pulled Jiraiya's body down rapidly. Boom. A deafening explosion sounded, and a strong airflow erupted. Jiraiya was hit hard, lying on the rock and accelerating towards the ground. Before landing, Shima's long tongue shot out again, tying around the branch of a tree that had landed earlier, pulling Jiraiya's body onto the tree. Ugh! I almost died. Jiraiya felt a burning pain in his back, and blood kept flowing. Jiraiya-sama, are you okay? Guy, who had already exited the 8 gates released formation state, ran over. I'm fine. Jiraiya got up on his own. Naruto. Naruto is over there. Guy pointed to Naruto, who had already grown a 7th tail in the distance. He seems to be in a bad state. Damn it. Naruto, this kid, can't control this level of tailed beast transformation. Jiraiya's expression was extremely grave. And Minato is gone. The 4th Hokage. Could it be? Could it be? How is that possible? Guy couldn't believe it. That was the 4th Hokage who possessed the Flying Thunder God technique. For the village in Naruto, we may have to fight with our lives next, Guy. Jiraiya looked up at Nagato and Konan slowly descending from the sky. Yes, I am ready. Guy nodded solemnly, giving a thumbs up. Jiraiya didn't say much, just reached out and patted Guy's shoulder. "Leave those two to me, Jiraiya-sama." Guy twisted his waist. "After all, I don't know what to do with Naruto in this state." Boom. The soaring chakra erupted from his body again. "I will buy time for you and Naruto, Jiraiya-sama." Jiraiya opened his mouth, but in the end, he only said, "I'll leave it to you, Guy." Guy gave a thumbs up with his back to Jiraiya, and in the next second, he appeared in front of Nagato in the distance like a teleportation. Leaf Hurricane. Almighty push. Guy's attack was blocked by the repulsive force. He flipped back and landed, his body only swaying under the push of the repulsive force, but he quickly stabilized. "Enemies, the blue beast of the leaf, Might Guy, will stop you here." He stood at attention and extended his right hand. "Naruto." Jiraiya flashed to Naruto's side at this moment. Roar. Naruto lay on the ground like a beast, a threatening growl coming from his throat. "This is bad." Jiraiya took out a sealing talisman and pressed it towards Naruto's forehead. Roar. With the roar, he only felt a blur before his eyes, and was swiftly swept away by Naruto's tail, flipping more than a dozen times on the ground before finally crashing into a tree, spitting out a mouthful of blood. This power. Jiraiya covered his slightly collapsed chest. "It's too exaggerated." Chapter 263, "Can you still hold on, little Jiraiya?" Shima asked gravely. "Based on past experience, your sage mode time is almost up." Fukasaku added. "In this situation, you must persevere." "Ah." Jiraiya caught his breath. "Don't worry, at this point. It's already a life and death situation." Roar. At this moment, Naruto was roaring at the sky, and an eighth tail began to grow from his back. Roar. He roared again, his body turning into a fleeting afterimage as he slammed into Guy, who had his back turned, sending him flying. Then, with a punch, he struck Nagato in the face. Nagato's body flew out at an incredible speed, crashing through countless trees and disappearing into the distance in the blink of an eye. Naruto, however, had already shifted his focus, turning his attention to Konan. Roar. This is bad. If Naruto continues to rampage like this, his life will be in danger. Jiraiya raised his hands and began forming hand seals, albeit slowly. Ninja art, Lion's main technique. His hair began to grow rapidly, and some of it automatically burrowed into his own chest. A cracking sound was heard as his chest returned to its original shape. After manipulating the hair to restore the skeletal structure, he began to further fix and suture the bones. Excruciating pain followed, and Jiraiya broke out in a cold sweat. "Hang in there, little Jiraiya," Shima said, clasping her hands together. "We'll use Sage Chakra to heal you at the same time. Those specially grown hairs will release Yang-natured Chakra to achieve preliminary healing." Fukasaku added. "Understood." Jiraiya gritted his teeth and endured, also suturing the gaping wound on his back. "Done," he said, standing up and moving his limbs. "This should barely affect my movements going forward." He looked up and saw Naruto violently attacking Konan, while Guy had intercepted Nagato on the other side of the forest. "Good opportunity, you two," Jiraiya said, rushing to a position between the two battles. "Quick, use that Genjutsu." "What? Singing at this age? How embarrassing." Shima complained reluctantly. "This is the only way, Ma." Fukasaku raised his voice. "Fine, fine." Shima reluctantly agreed. "All right, you two." Jiraiya formed hand seals, and the two sages puffed up their cheeks. Demonic illusion, Toad song. Ribbit. Croak. Ribbit ribbit. Croak. Ribbit. The not-so-melodious Toad duet echoed through the air, mixed with Sage Chakra, spreading rapidly. Ribbit ribbit. Is that a Genjutsu? Nagato tried to retreat. "Don't even think about it." Guy immediately closed the distance, relentlessly attacking Nagato to prevent him from escaping. "Move." Nagato dodged a kick and spread his hands. Almighty push. Taking advantage of the brief moment when Guy was repelled, Nagato's arm quickly transformed, firing lasers and missiles at Jiraiya in the distance. The weakness of this powerful Genjutsu was its long activation time. Jiraiya, well aware of this weakness, remained vigilant and agilely dodged Nagato's long-range attacks. The Toad song grew louder, and Nagato raised his hand again. "I won't let you interfere with Jiraiya-sama any longer." Guy charged forward again. Leaf whirlwind. Roar. On the other side, Naruto roared in fury once more. Konan's ultimate technique. Dance of the Shikigami. Allowed her body to become immune to physical attacks by turning into paper. Naruto's wild attacks had failed to land a single hit on her, while he was continuously injured by explosive tags, growing more and more enraged. Ribbit ribbit. The Toad song reached them, and both felt a momentary dizziness. Jiraiya-sensei's Genjutsu is extremely dangerous. Konan's heart tightened, sensing something was wrong. Roar. Unable to land a hit, the enraged Naruto opened his mouth again, gathering chakra. Another tailed beast ball? Conan's body quickly turned into paper, folding into countless paper butterflies. The paper butterflies fluttered their wings and scattered, flying far away. Naruto turned his head, tracking Conan's movements, and soon released the tailed beast ball from his mouth. A violent explosion erupted, blinding light filling the vision of everyone in the forest. Conan briefly appeared amidst the explosion, and a shower of paper scraps fell. The ground shook from the tailed beast ball's explosion, and both Nagato and Guy momentarily lost their footing. Nagato took the opportunity to leap into the air. Ribbit ribbit ribbit. The toad song continued, but its effect was somewhat diminished by the tailed beast ball's impact. Damn it. We were so close. Jiraiya and the two sages were frustrated but remained steadfast. Jiraiya-sensei. Nagato appeared above Jiraiya and extended his hand. This ends here. Almighty push. Not a chance. Guy flashed in front of Jiraiya. Fighting in the seventh gate for so long had caused his muscles to cramp, but Guy gritted his teeth and endured, using the gravitational pull to close in for an elbow strike. Leaf Great Whirlwind. Annoying. A black rod fell from Nagato's sleeve, and he grabbed it, stabbing it into Guy's chest. Ugh. Guy spat out blood but tightly wrapped his arms around Nagato, locking his hands in place. Jiraiya-sama. At the critical moment, Guy shifted slightly in the air, causing Nagato's black rod to miss his heart. He still managed to shout with vigor. In that case. Nagato's body glowed with white light. I'll take all your chakra. Pretapath. Chakra. Guy felt his chakra rapidly draining, and his limbs began to weaken. Guy. Jiraiya looked up at the two locked in combat, then turned to see Naruto charging toward them. Sweat dripped from his forehead. Almost there, almost there. Ribbit ribbit ribbit. Croak. Ribbit. In the next second, Guy fell powerless from the sky, and Naruto, swinging his 8 long tails, charged forward. Nagato's arm cannon glowed blue. Finally. Ribbit ribbit. The toad song finally stopped. Both Nagato and Naruto froze. Nagato's body stiffly fell from the sky, while Naruto collapsed unconscious. Ha! Jiraiya gasped for breath, the toad-like features on his face slowly fading. Little Jiraiya, hurry! Understood, summoning technique. Several giant stone swords appeared before him. Jiraiya grabbed one of the stone swords and walked over to Nagato, raising the massive blade and aiming it at Nagato's chest. Goodbye, Nagato. Rustle rustle. Countless paper scraps,